It's unbelievable. But it's happened.
Unbelievable. They didn't win, but they didn't lose. Fallen enemies were entwined, bodies strewn across the battlefield.
It's probably going to take this for the AFL to change the rules. It's an absolute joke.
The game that stopped the nation. An unbelievable conclusion. Unbelievable consequences. An epic that demanded an encore. So today, the replay. Round 27 for Ross. Second half for Mick.
Belting forward.
The People's Grand Final for the punters. They're going to do it all again. Can the battered bodies come up? Can jangled nerves stand another cliffhanger? Two armies already burdened by history. Now deadlocked by equality.
Harry O'Brien hits the goal. And he's got it.
Who has the mental toughness? Who will survive? Today there is one certainty. Even if it takes extra time, either Collingwood or St.Kilda will win the premiership.
He's made a mark on the big stage. He's pumped it hard. He's pumped it long. He's kicked the goal. Lenny Hayes.
Gets inside the forward 50. And the mark is taken by Mills. You control it. Revolt out of the congestion. It runs on and on. Untouched.
Belting forward. Got it.
Almost, but hands to it. Spills out the back. Cloak has kicked the goal.
But it's happened.
Just one team will achieve football immortality.
Well, this 21-year-old did the big job last week on Nick Revolt, didn't he, Nathan Brown? Back again today. Lenny Hayes, the oldest man on the field last week, won the Norm Smith medal. Lee Brown and Dale Thomas. Thomas arguably Collingwood's best player. Stevie Milne, who kicked two valuable goals. Travis Cloak, who missed a couple but kicked a couple as well, as we welcome you. And as the Governor of California once said, I'll be back. Welcome Dennis, welcome Tom, welcome Lee. What a day we're in store for. Lee, I'll start with you. Is it possible? Could we relive the intensity that we just saw a moment ago? Could they do it again?
Well, the players would have to be Superman to play the same intensity for the 120 minutes today as they did for the 120 minutes last week. There was almost 200 tackles last week between the two sides. Fair indication of how hard it was to get an easy ball. The game has to open up a little bit at some stage today. Warm, sunny day. Great for the spectators, but a bit of warmth in the air is the last thing the players need, I think, coming up second week in a row.
Well, Tom, let's talk about the inside 50s. Collingwood plus 21 in that category last week. I look at the third term, they fell away, but in the second quarter, they dominated 21-4 inside 50s. If those figures are replicated, can St Kilda win this afternoon?
Well, it's been the greatest strength for Collingwood all year as they've been able to dominate that particular statistic. It was 62-35, but the good thing for St Kilda was of their 35 entries, 22 actually went to target. So if they can get that number up to their average, which is about 44-45, and continue to direct the ball to their key marking targets, in particular, obviously, Nick Revolt, they're more than half a chance. So it'll be interesting to see how that particular stat unfolds today.
You touched on Nick Revolt. I think Nick Revolt has arrived at the ground, so there he is. What a star he's been for the Saints. 2 goals last week. 3 times in his career he's booted 5 against Collingwood, twice in finals. And the other Nick, of course, Nick Maxwell, so good dropping back, creating the space, getting in there and making it very difficult for Revolt. They'll be, I think, very close again this afternoon.
They'll certainly be in the same area, and I think Harry O'Brien didn't have necessarily a great game last week. He'll play better again this week, and they provide that visual pressure that we spoke about last week, just getting in the way of the St Kilda forwards.
Well, Bruce, I'm back on the horse today. No rain, no wind. A beautiful day here in Melbourne, down near the boundary line. I think just in the area where the players will come out. Tim Watson and Matthew Richardson as they were last week.
Yes, thanks, Dan. It's great to be back here again, Richard. But I've got to say, it feels a lot different down here than it did 7 days ago.
Oh, no doubt, Timmy. Just walking through the bowers of the MCG here, a couple of tumbleweeds just blew past. And last week, it was like Elvis was in the building, so it certainly is a lot different.
Well, Lionel Richie was just warming up his vocal cords before singing hello, hello. Is there anybody here? But we jest about that because there has been the same number of players coming by us in recent times, and they have the game faces on. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, they do. I mean, the players are going to be switched on. You know, they've got another opportunity to win a premiership. Magnificent day out there. You'd just love to be out there playing football, no doubt.
A bit warmer than it was last week, actually. A couple of degrees warmer too. So they've made sure, both clubs have made sure during the week that they've catered for that.
Yeah, they have. I mean, we're speaking to the fitness staff down here. They've just been all about recovery and hydration, anticipating that it is going to be a little bit warmer today, and the players are going to feel the pinch later in the game for sure.
Looking forward to it.
Terrific mention, Lionel Richie. He sang at the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles. I thought I'd said my goodbyes to him there, but apparently not.
Another hello.
Absolutely. Well, what a week it's been. Suddenly 14th Essendon seems better than 3rd Geelong, doesn't it? What's happening down at your club, Tom? Are they unravelling?
It's been an amazing 36, 48 hours. I guess, obviously, the Gary Ablett one was the first one that broke. There were rumours about Bomber Thompson, but Gary Ablett, we just see him here with the red T-shirt on. That was pretty hard to watch as an ex-teammate, but you can totally understand. It wasn't a huge surprise that he was going to end up at the Gold Coast. It's been spoken about for a long time, and I do take him on face value that he made his final decision on the Monday. A lot of people think that couldn't have been the case, but when he fielded that phone call to Guy McKenna or Travis Old, whoever it was, the decision was made then.
And what about Bomber Thompson? I mean, that has been a surprise, hasn't it?
Well, it has been a surprise, but I think it's a very brave decision. After 11 years, if you think it's time to stop senior coaching with all the rigours, the mental pressure, it's brave to make that statement and make that call. And strange it may seem, given that Geelong have been such a good side and still a very good team, losing Gary Ablett, that enables their salary cap to be more under control. Potentially Bomber Thompson moves on, so to be a new coach. I reckon they're a step closer, in fact, to being a good team in the future, because some of these decisions would never be made voluntarily, but I think the new era may have started to be forced.
Tom, just a quick word on Bomber Thompson, your old coach.
Yeah, look, it was a surprise. I was always of the belief that he was going to retire at the end of next year. But as Lee said, he's had his time, and if your heart's not in it like he stipulated, time to walk away.
Well, Bruce, they haven't been exactly idle at Essendon, of course. A new coach with James Hird. A man who knows Hirdy very well is Tim Watson. Tim, has some of the gloss come off the great man this week after the appointment?
No, I don't think so, actually, Dennis. In fact, I think there's been a new layer of gloss that's been applied. I thought he was really impressive at his press conference the other day. He knows how big the job is. He's very well prepared to. I caught up with him during the week. And I'll give you a practical demonstration of the impact it's already had on the Essendon Football Club. They had 600 people booked to go to their Crichton Medal last night. After the Hird announcement, it blew out to 1,100. So already it's having a good effect on the bottom line. All the other stuff has to happen too down the track.
No doubt for the Watsons. The medal count last night, the best and fairest as well. Congratulations to Job. Coming up very shortly, we look back 7 days in the drama of Collingwood and St Kilda.
It's a difficult thing to prepare for every week, a game of football. It's one of the toughest sports in the world. Demands so much of its players, and to come up for any game is a challenge mentally, let alone a grand final, and let alone backing up for a second grand final in 2 weeks.
The same prize is still up for grabs, so we're still playing for a premiership, so everything that's happened means nothing really, because there's going to be 22 players for both teams go out there for 120 minutes for a premiership cup.
I'd like to say nothing really different to any other week, but if I said that I'd probably be lying.
It doesn't take a lot to get yourself up for a grand final, so the boys are ready to go.
It's going to be a draw. It's unbelievable. But it's happened.
For a split second, I wasn't sure if it was extra time or if it was replay. I actually asked Dane Swan. I said, "Is it fair dinkum we got a replay next week?"
I looked up and thought, "Is that really the result?" It was. Although the scores have been tied for 30, 45 seconds or whatever it was still a little bit of shock. That initial thought of, we're back again.
I remember looking at Heath Shaw and both just looking at each other, shaking our heads.
I sort of looked at him and it was sort of an interesting sort of just empty sort of look. We both sort of looked like we didn't know what to do.
It's probably going to take this for the AFL to change the rules. It's an absolute joke.
Just wasn't sure what to think, didn't know how to feel. Angry that we'd missed an opportunity, frustrated that we'd have to wait another week and prepare again.
Nick was pretty keen, I think, to get the game over with, so you mentioned maybe petitioning Mr Demetrio for extra time, but I said I didn't think they'd go for that.
Do you want to just go again now? I think a lot of us would have been happy just to get it over with, although it would have been a tough 10 minutes. At that stage, it was the emotions of it right at that stage was just, let's get this out of the way.
I don't know if I've ever seen 44 guys go to war like we just did then. It was war today, and it's not too often you come back and fight another war a week later. So,
and I pulled a few up from lying on the ground and told them we're back again here next week and the rules don't change, so let's get our head in gear.
he's pumped it hard, he's pumped it long, he's kicked the goal. Lenny Hayes.
Almost got hands to it. Spills out the back. Clunk has kicked the goal.
The toughest game and the hardest game I think I've been involved in.
I was just lucky that I could play my part as 21 other blokes did as well. I thought we really stuck together and played a good last quarter.
I think it'll go down as one of the greatest games in history. To play in it, it was just so exhausting. The heat was just on the whole time, and I heard Nick Del Santo say that halfway through the first quarter he couldn't breathe and was struggling, and just thought, how long can this go on? And I went on for 120 minutes.
Time was brilliantly done, and then Daisy should have walked it home, and he's missed badly.
Well, initially they're the thoughts that go through your head. I'm sure I wasn't the only bloke who had those thoughts of, what if we had to kick that goal or this goal.
He's belting the ball forward. Johnson quickly off the mark. Milner at best. Ball bouncing. Scores a level.
Oh no!
What are you doing next week?
One bounce either way, but if you think like that, you can do your head in, because there were 1,000 moments in the game that could have gone to either side. So you can't let yourself dwell on it for too long.
Control it, rebound. Out of the congestion, it runs on and on.
One small thing can mean the difference between winning and losing.
Belting forward.
It's pretty good. Especially at that time, and to take it as clean as he did. He played a ripping game.
Oh, it was enormous.
2010 Norm Smith Medal for the drawing game, Lenny Hayes.
Look, it's just at home in a shoebox, just tucked it away in there. But look, it's great. It's something that you probably look back on in a few years. But the bigger job at hand is to win that cup, and I'll definitely swap it for a premiership medallion any day.
It's a grand final again, and it's exciting. Once you get over that initial shock and get taken back by the fact it was a draw, your mind changes to, we get to do it all again.
Confirms our belief that we can beat Collingwood, and we know that we'll go to death. We know we'll play to the last minute. So knowing that, it doesn't matter what the circumstances are this week, whether we're 4 goals in front or 4 goals down again, we know we'll keep fighting to the end.
For us, we had 17 guys who had never played in the grand final before, and we're going to this week where everyone has, so I think we know what to expect.
It's still a premiership cup up for grabs. I'm not sure whether it makes it worth any more, because really it's the ultimate, so it's hard to go past that.
What a great opener that was. So much shared between 44 players. They really did go into battle last week. A camaraderie between them, but they've got to draw the line again today, and Stevie Baker likes doing that. Can he come up again? Gavin Brown and Nick Maxwell. 2 great names now at Collingwood, aren't they? Clint Jones, well, that foot couldn't be broken. Mick Malthouse was one of his young chargers in Ben Reid. As we welcome you to the MCG, I wasn't nervous an hour ago. I am now, after watching that opener. I just can't wait for it to unfold. And with Lee Matthews, Tom Harley and Brad Johnson just joins us. I just feel like we have drawn the line in the sand after watching the boys right there. Brad, can they come up again? Can they do it again?
Well, you ask the question all week, don't you? Which side's going to come up first? But after seeing that, you hear the determination in the boys' voices, but more so the excitement's back in their voice. And behind closed doors, they'll be ready to go. Don't worry about that.
Tom, you were in this position. You played a thriller last year. Could have been a draw. Was it possible, do you think, to get yourself going again a week later?
Well, the simple fact is, Bruce, you have to. The rules are the rules, and if you draw a grand final, you've got to come back and play. And I mean, it would have been, there'll be a lot of sore players going into the game. I'm sure they'll probably use plenty of pain-killing injections, but when the ball is bounced, I'm with you, Bruce. In the past 5 or 10 minutes, the atmosphere's just lifting up a notch, and there's a grand final up for grabs right now.
It was interesting, wasn't it, really? When the siren sounded last week, there was this despair. But half hour after the game, you could see the players were adjusting to the new world, and it's been so positive all week from both clubs, as it has to be. Doesn't matter what you're feeling. Say the words, build it up.
So the Saints are about to come out for their warm-up. So out they come. These stands are still filling.
It was interesting, Bruce. This time last week, St Kilda walked onto the ground because remember, we're still almost an hour and a half from the game, so you still want to be really relaxed. You don't want to be really hyped up at this particular point, but they've sort of jogged out today, so that's slightly different.
And the two players leading it out, obviously Nick Revolt's the captain, but right at shotgun was Brendan Goddard, and I think the way he handled the draw last year was just typified St Kilda. They're ready to go, no doubt about that.
Well, let's go back to the ground. Matthew Richardson's down there. He has the St Kilda coach, Ross Lyon.
Ross, bit of deja vu, mate. Here we go again. How you feeling? How are the boys feeling?
Yeah, we feel settled. We're confident we'll perform well and give it a really good shot. So, you know, we just spoke about no guarantee we'll be back here again, so we want to try and capitalise on the opportunity.
Now, did anything happen last week at the end of the game that's changed the way you're going about it for this week?
Oh, not particularly. You know, I thought certainly their wingers got off us a little bit, you know, and particularly Thomas. So we've got a few things to help make them defend a little bit more, but a bit more composure with the ball, and the good players got away early, so they're the sort of things we want to try and control.
I did some things differently after half-time last week. Gilbert up forward. Farron Ray did a good job on Dane Swan. Will you start the game like that again this week?
Yeah, at times, not exactly the same, so you wouldn't want to go exactly the same. You know, we think Shaw will play back for them. We think he'll probably go to Snyder, so there's some subtle differences already, and yeah, Gilbert will certainly spend a fair bit of time forward at times.
Now, Ben McAvoy, obviously the disappointed man last week, missed out. You said that he was pretty shattered. How have you dealt with that this week?
Oh, look, how have I dealt with it? I just think until he was selected, he never knew whether he was in, obviously, and then, you know, I think it's just an exciting time for him. It's a unique situation. I gave him a pat in the head and said, you know, get to work, you know, so there wasn't too much psychology involved in it. It was just grab your opportunity and get to work, you know.
Nice day out here. It's going to be pretty warm, 22 degrees. Huge intensity in the game last week. You think they can go like that again today for 120 minutes?
We're looking to raise the bar, to be honest. Offering no alibi, no excuses for our players. I'm talking about, you know, 110 tackles, raising the bar and playing with greater intensity to get it done. So, yeah, there'll be no backward steps today.
Well, everyone's looking forward to a result today, Rossi. Good luck, mate.
Thanks, Matty. Cheers.
There's a lot to like about Ross Lyon, isn't he? He's an admirable man. As we look at the lineup, and the only inclusion's the youngest man in their team. He's 21 years of age. There's a lot to do. As McAvoy, if someone had told me last week that Gardner was a late withdrawal, I would have thought that was a body blow. We're sort of not thinking so much that way, are we, because of what happened last weekend?
It's an interesting game. The thing that is going to happen with McAvoy is not going to ruck as many minutes in the ruck, say, as Gardner did. Fisher was so critical last week.
Yeah, Sam Fisher, he's had an outstanding finals campaign. You see on the screen there, a game high, 5 contested marks. He had 25 disposals, 12 rebounds from inside 50. I think all the key defenders for St Kilda really stood up. Dawson, I think Gwilt has taken his game to another level in the big game, so it's really positive signs for the Saints.
So, Brad, big part of the game. What are Collingwood going to do to stop Fisher taking uncontested marks, blocking up their forward 50 entries? What's your theory before we start the game?
Well, it's similar to Maxwell in a sense that they play it so well, both of those guys, that they actually, you find it difficult as a team to stop it. Especially Goddard comes back a lot. He'll go to Fisher's man, then Fisher will release, and then once the ball's gone out of the area, Fisher will come back, Goddard pushes forward. So it makes it very difficult for the opposition to stop it.
No doubt that's going to be important. It was terrific for St Kilda last week. Collingwood would have given that enormous amount of thought. Nick Del Sando there, we know that he probably wasn't mentally right. Even if he was physically right, probably mentally he was just a little bit unsure of whether his hamstring was okay.
Collingwood only minutes away, if that, from coming onto the ground as well. In fact, there you go. Right on cue. They have been so strong, the two Nicks, I reckon, Maxwell and Revolt, haven't they? They haven't flinched for a moment. So combative, Maxwell, in the interview after the match. I'm glad they got a roar, because I don't reckon Collingwood go anywhere without a cheer, do they?
It certainly feels that way. I just want to make a comment about the two Nicks. I think you spoke about the two demeanours after the game. Maxwell wears his heart on his sleeve, and the way he spoke about the rules and those sorts of things. Nick Revolt, a more measured, more, not necessarily mature approach, but certainly a more measured approach. So they have very contrasting styles, and it's a great battle within itself, those two respective captains.
You see those two together there. Now, because Kazic's going to be in the ruck a lot, they have to find that second forward. Last week it was Gilbert. Maybe it'll be Gilbert again, but that's the one difference in St Kilda. With Gardner out, McAvoy, they got the other up, and Kazicki is going to be out of the forward line for big chunks of the game.
You speak of Gilbert, though. Last week it was a surprise to Collingwood, so therefore this week they would have planned for that a little bit more. It's going to be more difficult for him to have an impact in the forward line.
Michael Gardner we saw there. So Dane Swan will be a key. We've got Mickey Malthouse coming up after this. So we welcome you back to the MCG. They said bring back the sack. Well, Tyson Goldsack is back in. He's the new one for Collingwood. Played 10 of the last 13 weeks. He adds some flexibility, doesn't it? Not only that he can go forward and back, but maybe it releases a Johnson to perhaps play, not you, Brad, but the other Johnson out there today, to play a little forward of them.
Well, as we see, Goldsack is the in and Leon Davis. So one of the small forwards has been left out, Leon Davis, a medium tall in Goldsack, and I thought Collingwood looked just one small player too many last week, so they left him out. And of course, Dane Swan, still good in close last week, but he just didn't get that uncontested ball out wide. None of the link man type play, and Farron Ray did a terrific job in the second half on him.
And you mentioned the link man. There's no better link man for Collingwood than Dale Thomas. His first quarter was absolutely outstanding. Seen as a bit of an outside player, but a career high 8 tackles. His final series has been great.
He certainly has. And like you said, the spark last week, it's the younger players in Blair and Sidebottom. I like the way they handled themselves in their first grand final last week, and I'm looking forward to seeing if they can replicate that again today.
And Ross Lyon with Richo a moment ago talked about the wingers for Collingwood and trying to put them under more pressure, particularly getting them into a defensive situation. So Collingwood, Pendlebury will be interesting. He looked wounded at the end of last week. It looked like that back was a bit sore. Let's go down to Mick Malthouse. He's with Tim Watson.
Well, Mick, we're back here again.
Groundhog Day. It's highly unusual in football, but it does happen, as it's been proven before. So here we go, and back on the horse and have a crack at it.
Beautiful day for a barbecue too.
Well, as long as we're barbecuing the right meat, it'll be okay, and who knows.
It's an interesting thing, isn't it, to come back a week after a grand final, because everyone goes out there last week, they have all their tactics, all their positional, all their strategies. Do you do anything differently this week, do you think?
Well, do you do anything differently? Well, the side's marginally different and theirs is marginally different. It's, I guess you cut up and see what you did well, and we did a lot of things right. They only went in 30 odd times and they scored 10 goals. We went in a lot of times and didn't do things overly well, so we'll have a look at that. The structure through the middle won't change much. We're going to make sure that Swan and Pendlebury and Ball and Beams and the players that have been around the ball still are around the ball. It's no use sort of shying away from those. And we'll see how that goes.
It is going to be a warm day out there for the players, probably 2 or 3 degrees even warmer than last Saturday. Does that present any challenges, do you think?
Well, you say 2 or 3 degrees. I think when you really analyse the games that St Kilda and we have played in the last month and a bit, you say the days are 15 or 16 degrees, but really at night time when we've basically been playing, it's probably about 9, 10, 11 degrees. So we're really talking about an increase of 10 degrees. Now that is significant, and I guess that's one of the things you rely on, maximising your rotations, not necessarily over-rotating, because I think that itself sometimes can be draining. Keeping the fluid up. So there's a lot of things that do change when you've got, and I'll use that 10 degrees. It may well be 5 degrees, but something in excess of that, of what we've played before. It really is up to the fitness blokes to do their thing, and also the player group to acknowledge that and just maybe change their habits, perhaps quarter time and 3/4 time and half time, so that they're not exposed to that type of because there's going to be enough heat out there in the game, and you throw in the actual, as we said, it's a clear sky, it's a fantastic day, but I think that it will have a bearing. How much? I don't think it'll have a bearing one way or the other whether they have an advantage or we have an advantage. It's just simply it's going to be exhausting for both sides.
I know you want to get in there and speak to the players. Good luck today.
Thank you very much, Timmy. All the best. See you, mate.
Very laid back, Alan Didak. A good start, beautiful goal, but then a quiet finish.
Well, I find it's intriguing from Collingwood's point of view. The way the game finished last week, St Kilda were going well, Collingwood weren't. So on that basis, I think there's more chance that Mick Malthouse and Collingwood will do things different at the start of the game. Not their whole game plan, but just some of their positioning because minimising the opposition's strengths, I think might be in the more in the forefront of their mind.
I think you're right, Lee. I think when both sides look and review the game, they're probably going to critique the second half more so than the first half. The first 10 minutes, Collingwood jumped it, but after that, it was a really strong contested defensive game, and I think both coaches will get more out of the second half, Jono.
Exactly, and you look at both coaches talking about the intensity of the contest. Ross Lyne saying 110 tackles today. Mick Malthouse will be saying similar things to his side. It's just going to be a real tight, intense game. Like you said earlier, it needs to be that for both sides to give themselves a chance.
I'd like to get the odds at have 110 tackles. They had 100 tackles last week, St Kilda. They'll be doing well this week if they get 70 or 80.
I agree with that, yeah.
Lee, I hate to disagree with you on it, not really, but there was only 8 points to margin at three-quarter time, so it wasn't as if St Kilda ran right over the top of them, was it? Because Collingwood were only outscored by 8 points in that last quarter.
But Collingwood have to do something about their forward third. They only kicked 2 goals in the second half. Mentally, a lot of they had 9-16, but 7 of them were rushed. So most of their thought is, what do we do in our forward third to make us more efficient to score goals from opportunities?
And they had 62 entries, which is a massive number for everyone else, but that's Collingwood's average go. Only 18 went to a target. St Kilda down the other end, 22 of their 35 went to a target, so far more efficient.
Without a doubt, and you look, I think this week it's important they try and get Harry O into the game a little bit more and earlier. His run and drive is important. Focus will be on Maxwell a bit. Harry O's been the one tagged the last few games that he's played in, and he sure was good last week. So you've got to get Harry O up the ground a little bit, trying to get him pumping that ball inside 50.
When he's at full back on Milne, that didn't look good for Collingwood. He's got to be at half-back, doesn't he, Jono, just to run the ball from there.
Certainly.
And the way Collingwood play, can they do a hard tag, do you think? I mean, could Hayes or Goddard have a hard runner with them? Because they have so many rotations, don't they?
Only one. You can only have one hard tag in today's modern footy, and even St Kilda will only have one really hard tag. And is it Goddard? It won't be Hayes, maybe Goddard. I reckon Fisher's the one they'll be giving more attention to make sure he can't float across halfback.
And those top three for the Saints, Fisher, Goddard, Hayes, it's hard to imagine them playing any better this week. Is that going to be hard for them to replicate it for those three, do you think?
Look, they were fantastic. I think when you look at the lineups and the teams, and particularly the statistics from last week, Collingwood looked to have more upside in their better players. We're talking about Pendlebury and Didak, even Swan to a lesser degree. Yeah. So that's what people will be anticipating. But see Brendan Goddard on screen, you can't imagine him playing a better game, but you also can't imagine him playing much lower than what he played. He's just an absolutely marvellous player. Goldsack's the interesting one. We don't know much about his tank. Maybe he's brought in to do a job.
So the scene has been set, hasn't it? The players have had their warm-up. They go back into the rooms for that quiet moment before all thunder will let loose. Pre-match entertainment not far away here at the MCG for the grand final replay.
$100,016 last week, and they're pouring in again today. The grand final replay. And from vantage points all across the city, they're watching this one. Nothing decided last week, and they want to see it again. Can it rival the spectacle of last week? Melbourne on such a pretty day. Already one winner today, Lionel Richie, quite outstanding. And now the Saints getting ready to enter this vast stadium. The umpires are coming onto the ground, the same three as last week. Brent Rosebery in his third grand final, Ray Chamberlain his second, Sean Ryan his third. So Ray Chamberlain made his debut last week, and suddenly grand finals are commonplace. 2 in a week if you don't mind. This guy is oblivious to all of that. They're the main attractions. Nick Riewoldt, well, he must be used to carrying this sort of responsibility. What a player he's been. As I mentioned earlier today, 3 times 5 goals against Collingwood, twice in finals. Needs another haul like that today to maybe push his side over the line. So the waiting is over, and the Saints follow the umpires onto the MCG. Hit by a wavered sound. Who knows what they're thinking? It must be a strange feeling. Did it last week, back 7 days later to start again. St Kilda, the underdogs, onto the MCG, the grand final replay. Rejoined now by Tom Harley and Lee Matthews.
Absolutely great feeling, that one, without a doubt. The message last week from Nick Revolt was all about togetherness. Camera wasn't as close this time, but I'd imagine the same messages would be filtered through, and a really strong player-driven group, this St Kilda team.
They absolutely are, yeah, well led, and just this Coliseum on a bright sunny day, I mean, it's just a magnificent sight, a magnificent occasion, and really the fact that there was another game last week is totally irrelevant.
Now it is.
The question is, there's the same prize open in 2.5 hours' time.
I tell you what, that cameraman had to be quick too. They sat down and they were moving as a mass.
He gets one shot, Dennis, that cameraman.
One shot at it. Not like the game itself. They're getting 2 shots at it. Brendan Goddard, I was only kidding before, but probably the best man on the ground last week. Certainly we declared him. Didn't win the Norm Smith medal. There's Stevie Milne. 2 goals last week. Mongoose quick on the forward line. Obviously can create some problems. Another potential match winner, Tom.
Absolutely. I think he probably took the honours on Harry O'Brien last week, took some crucial marks, had that ball, I guess it's the nature of the game, that's where luck plays in, that bounced away and got the draw in the end. But, he's not that upstaged, I guess, on grand finals now. I think his finals form has been pretty good.
Nick Maxwell, like us, with the game face on, but no Max Factor. One final look back at his troops. Are you with me? Of course you are. The favourites, Collingwood. Luke Ball, former St Kilda captain. They led the league in wins this season. They lead the league in tattoos as well.
It's a very special look on the faces of players when they're walking on the ground. Just the actual intensity of the game.
Those people watching around the world, Collingwood the best supported club in the AFL competition. Probably if they win, no matter where you are, you will meet one of their supporters tonight.
Make no mistake, Dennis, the atmosphere down here today as opposed to last week is magnified. I think we've got the people's crowd. It was spoken about all week about this grand final. It's a split crowd. The true supporters are here, and we'll hear that Collingwood chant more than once today. I've got no doubt about that.
Lee, what do you expect from Dane Swan this afternoon? 21 possessions last week by his standards. Quiet. Better for the runners, they say in racing parlance.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, his second half was probably the lowest second half in terms of possession gathering that we've seen from Dane Swan this year. I think he got 21 for the game, but very low in the second half. He will be better today than he was last week. That last week's second half, well below his capabilities.
Travis Cloak, unlike the great Bill Collins, not exactly the accurate one last week. Needs to nail them this afternoon. We saw him earlier in the day in practice, and he was slotting them.
Well, I think you're right, Dennis. He's spoken during the finals about how much confidence he gets from taking contested marks. In the game against Geelong in the preliminary final, which seems like an eternity ago now, clunked the ball, went back and kicked the goal. So it'd be interesting to see how Travis starts the game.
Alan Didak drifted out of the game after what was a heavy collision with Zach Dawson in the second quarter last week. He was shaken up. Scott Pendlebury, 19 possessions last week, never got to 30 against the Saints. He's essential today.
Absolutely, and certainly in that second half last week when St Kilda got into the game, Pendlebury, Swan, Didak, 3 of their weapons just fell out of the game in terms of their position getting, and just maybe Luke Ball we see on screen there might take the Hayes matchup to say, well, you just make sure Hayes can't be that inside getter that he does so well for St Kilda.
Life can be crazy, can't it? Former St Kilda captain playing his 24th game for Collingwood in a grand final against his old team. Stand by, it's decision time.
But to me it seems quite clear
history repeating.
On this glorious spring October day in Melbourne, the first Saturday in October, the two teams are starting to sort themselves out prior to the replay of the 2010 Grand Final. Ross Lyon and Mickey Malthouse, the two coaches. I wonder if Roscoe can join Alan Jeans, and also Mickey Malthouse can win a third premiership here. There's the St Kilda coach. He's made a bidding impact. Let's go down to the boundary. Matthew Richardson and Tim Watson.
Well, Richo, the build-up has been different than last week. Pre-game, we talked about how different it felt as well. But from the moment the players came out onto the ground, it feels like it did 7 days ago.
Oh, it's amazing down here now. You've got a lot more supporters from each club. When the theme songs went up, they went up with them. We've just had AC/DC blaring. We can barely hear, but it's just a fantastic atmosphere down here.
Last week, 189 tackles. It was a close game. It was an intense game. The conditions very different than last week, though. There's no cloud cover, a lot of sun, probably 2 or 3 degrees warmer than what it was last week. I don't think we're going to get the same game. I think we're going to get this game's going to open up at some stage this afternoon.
Well, one thing that always happens is that Collingwood lead in their matches. They're always in front. They always go down to that crowd. They've barely been behind, certainly in the final series this year, but for much of this season they have led practically from the first bounce.
Well, I think we've seen with Collingwood, they are capable of playing at a speed that no other team can. They're so quick, but that means they jump into games. Sometimes as the game wears on and the speed goes out of the game, that's when they've probably been off their peak. But their early games, as we saw in the first half last week.
So the Saints, do they attack early or they try and contain, do you reckon?
Look, I think they take a lot out of their second half. That's the way they play their football.
Well, the Saints are ready. They're not delayed today. Ready to go into battle, and now joined by a familiar foe. They've set up a rivalry, these two, as we go down to Craig Willis.
Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to stand for the Australian National Anthem to be performed by Julie Anthony.
Well, 5 years ago, a thoroughbred went from champion to legend by winning a Melbourne Cup. You feel like blokes like Goddard are 2 hours away, or maybe a Swan from doing that, because that's what the winning team will have surrounding them for the rest of their lives.
Well, absolutely. When your nerves are jangling as they are right now, it's whether it can lift players or whether it sinks them. And we've seen it over the years. Just at the moment, it lifted Goddard last week. Maybe Swan's thinking it sunk me a bit.
Toss, you can face it. Yeah, you can face it. So they come over here.
So the toss of the coin.
Coming in now, and I'll introduce it to him. Nick, good luck, mate. Hey, Nick, good luck. This is Pam. Nick Revolt, you're cool, mate. Heads was the call. Tails.
So Collingwood win the toss. Pam Mawson did the toss. She's from the St Kilda cheer squad. They won that battle, best of 3 earlier in the week.
The two necks seen a bit of each other in the last couple of weeks. Various functions, the two rival captains, and they'll be close again this afternoon in more ways than one. Final message from Nick Revolt. The underdogs, St Kilda, and the favourites, at their favourite end, at the City end, down in front of their cheer squad, Collingwood. Can they annex their first premiership since 1990?
Lee, you mentioned 5 minutes ago last week that St Kilda, having lost the year before, that would really help them at that point. That's all gone now, I reckon, don't you?
Well, no, I think the same thing happens this week. But it's not until the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes when things are really tight. That's when the memory, like last week, it was the nothing memory. The year before, there was a devastation memory. That's much, much worse.
I think Mick Malthouse also has some ammunition on the fact that, you know, it was gut-wrenching to play in a draw. Also, there is that tomorrow, the next day, and that sort of thing. But you've got to really drive that home when the game is in the balance. You've got to get the job done.
Sound like a firm of psychologists, Matthews, Harley and committee. Hasn't got a ring to it. Just about set then. Players to their positions. Lenny Hayes, the only winner last week, took home a medal on the back of 32 possessions. There he is. What a game he played. But a hollow victory in as much as he has to come back and do it all over again. And of course, another Norm Smith medal will be presented today. Leon Davis, who played last week, will get a premiership medal if Collingwood win.
And we see Gilbert's heading to defence. Just looking sort of Kazitsky starting forward. McAvoy's going to start in the right.
What a day for Ben McAvoy. Left out last week, heartbreak.
Interesting to see that Nick Dal Santo for St Kilda starting in the forward line. Looks like Alan Tooby's going to him. He's had a really good final series, Tooby. Leads the club in tackles.
Dawson and Cloak. So we're set to go. It will be decided this afternoon, one way or another. No impasse here, but lots of passion. Welcome back to the MCG, and a good one to start proceedings. Tapped down by Jolly as he did last week. Scramble inside the centre circle. Schneider against the flow, gets a hand pass down towards half forward. Well done by Lee Brown. Came in strongly. Kicks it towards half forward. Dawes brilliantly. Pendlebury to the square. Mark is taken by Cloak. 5 metres out. Have they beaten last week's time? They got the first goal in 24 seconds last week. Pendlebury involved. And wouldn't you know it, it's happened again. This is a replay.
We're in for a good day then.
The blood rule with Dawson here.
Jack. Isn't it amazing to see Collingwood this final series break the game away from the start and get it?
Change of free kick. Oh, there was a free kick off the ball.
Hold the footy.
Johnson has got there.
Hold the footy.
Has got the free kick.
Somebody just ripped up the script.
Jack, are we ready?
So,
I think that's fair to say. Goal went begging.
Yeah, no doubt.
Used to say to players, when you've got the ball, let the opposition do anything to you. Don't give the umpire a chance to turn the ball over. And it's happened.
And Travis Cloak would have liked an early one like that, wouldn't he, from the square?
One of the key messages from Ross Lyon, I think, from last week's game was to start the game well. So a goal to Collingwood within the first 20 seconds would have been extremely deflating.
So Blake to Gwilt. This is the Saints footy. Gwilt's so good last week. Tries to penetrate early and finds Schneider. Well, what a remarkable start. Kazitsky worked underneath it by Reid. Side bottom. Still the only teenager out there as he was last week. And now Johnson. I'm not sure if he really wanted Reid. I think he wanted the next man in Diday, but Reid took it anyway. Pendlebury's free. Against Baker. So Pendlebury, just 5 kicks last week, starts well here. He started well last week in short. To ball. As Dennis mentioned, strange thing footy. Captain Saints plays in his second grand final against them in a week. Kicks to the pocket, not a good kick. He might have been looking for his old teammate there.
Fisher did well dropping back, took the mark. Here's Goddard. Did it at both ends last week to Gilbert, confronted. Slips a quick away, but straight into the hands of O'Brien. So Harry O'Brien will kick it goal from about 45 metres.
It's the play on, isn't it? One thing we know about Collingwood, when we see the reversal just bottom of frame there, that was it.
Take him out.
Against Swan, was it?
Swan.
Yep.
Crazy. Meantime, Harry O'Brien kicks, and this swings violently right to left, out of bounds on the full and or a mark. Out of bounds on the full. Kick to be taken by Fisher, who knocked up taking marks last week.
one thing we've seen already is a huge work rate from Brendan Goddard. When St Kilda was streaming forward, he was pushing into the forward 50, and now he's right back on the defensive 50.
To the outer side, Maxwell, two-fisted, knocks it close to the boundary. Shaw pushed off the line of the football. It goes out of bounds.
It's amazing. We've been going almost 2 and a bit minutes. It's just been in Collingwood's forward half. Again, they've just controlled the footy early.
But they haven't got that early score that they look to have in their hands. Here is Swan. He was the culprit and kicks towards the goals. Blake getting back. Fisher again. A third disposal for him under pressure. Back to Baker. Having trouble with the press, aren't they? Getting it out.
Had the opportunity then, St Kilda, to actually come back out onto the fat side of the ground where there was plenty of space, but Sam Fisher's initial thought was to go back down the traffic line. So I would have liked to see him wheel around into the space for St Kilda pushing forward.
McAvoy, Jolly won the tack clearly to ball. Saints did well not to give a high kick away. Dempster tried to toe poke it. Milne in the back half, brought down. Quick kick by McCaffrey to fall forward. Dawes on hands and knees. Can't quite get up side bottom. Had an airy. Down low, Schneider, well done. Gilbert belts it outside the 50.
And it's coming back. Nathan Brown gets on the end of it. Looks inside the forward 50. High ball. Get under that one. Plenty of Saints in the vicinity. And the mark is taken by Goddard. So again, incessant attacking from Collingwood, being held up by the Saints. What a beautiful kick to the outer side. Revolt. Nothing much up ahead, just lays the ball into the path of Kaczynski, bounces right on the 50. Maxwell read the bounce best, runs onto the loose ball, goes towards the outer side. The bounce favours side bottom. It got away from him, but inadvertently that helped. He kicks down towards the attacking 50. Dawes brilliant, knocked it to Cloak. Cloak the long ball, Goldsack. Well, he doesn't kick too many goals. Tyson Goldsack.
Well, you wouldn't have got this last week, Tyson Goldsack, for the first goal.
Hasn't kicked a goal this season. Just on the ground. 5 career goals. And this will test him. Who would have thought Goldsack to kick the first goal in the grand final? Not too many. Probably not even him. Goldsack kicks it.
Now this is exactly where the goal was generated. McWalter's actually trying to do a job on Maxwell. Maxwell's read the play, generated the turnover. They're still the #1 side in the competition at scoring from turnovers. That started the forward foray. That's the perfect build-up for Collingwood.
Long way to go, but Collingwood selectors will be thinking, yeah, that wasn't a bad change. Goldsack in.
Just at the moment, the game has pretty much started with the kind of matchups that last week's game started with. Now that's working for Collingwood. But at the moment, Jones is trying to take Swan, for instance. That's not really working at this point of time. So it's as if we've gone back a week at this point.
So McAvoy, Thomas was the third man up. Saw all of that from the Saints last week. Del Santo and Johnson cut off by Tuvey. McAvoy got down low. Thomas was terrific. Well done, Ray. Stood up in the challenge. Kicks to half forward. Revolt and Brown. Revolt overruns it. Eddie in hard. Rode the O'Brien bunt pretty well. Harry collects it and gallops with a second running bounce. We didn't see much of that last week. Belts it forward under pressure. 2 half forward. McCaffrey's hands not good there. Gwilt. Hayes running hard with Willingham, searching for it. Lenny got down low as he so often does. Boundary throw-in, and speaking of the boundary, Matthew Richardson.
Thanks, Bruce. Well, just at that last goal was kicked, Dane Swan sprinted off the ground with his tagger Jones. As soon as he went up, Jones sat on the bench. Swan ran straight back on to try and lose the tag.
Not the first time we've seen that. Jolly taps it down. Swan just missed. After the football goes McAvoy. Wellingham, head down. Adolescent moments ago, Wellingham body to body with Hayes. Hayes so hard to shift. Wonderful balance.
One of the things, at the moment, St Kilda have 12 kicks and they've had 8 handballs. Collingwood 16 kicks, 3 handballs. Collingwood are kicking the footy. St Kilda got to start doing that as well.
Hayes loves that situation. Third man up. Moments ago saw Thomas doing it for Collingwood. Goddard started well, hand passes towards midfield. Brilliant pick-up by Maxwell. Ran into a dead end. Schneider goes in. Can't do much with it. Some heavy work done on the ground. But the base of all of that is Eddie.
speaking of Eddie and Maxwell, Eddie's doing a defensive job on Maxwell. He's got to draw the footy. He can't afford just to play on Nick Maxwell as a forward.
Jolly tapped it down. Wellingham kicks inside the forward 50 to space. Out in front is Blake. Awkward bounce. Blake leads back in the race, aided by Gwilt. So good last week. Stolen by Dawes. Dawes goes in, ricochets off the defender down there, and Fisher are behind.
We're almost 9 minutes into the game, and St Kilda haven't had an inside 50 yet, so the game is definitely being played in Collingwood's half.
Can't get it forward. I mean, the lesson that St Kilda put into play in the second half was to try and kick the ball forward under intense pressure. Don't try and hand pass your way out of pressure.
So Goddard short to Gwilt. This is where they had a lot of problems early last week from the kick-outs. So Gwilt gets the ball to half-back. Revolt up the ground. Brown did well. It was an effective tap forward. Tim Watson on the boundary.
Just on the inside 50, St Kilda hasn't won an inside 50 count since round 21, so defensively they've been able to stand up, but once again they're under the pump.
That's a block, Kaczynski's free kick.
So you heard the
you
umpire.
ran straight at him and blocked him, Lee.
So against Lee Brown to Kaczynski. I wonder how much we'll see him in the ruck. He was very good in the second half. Concedes to D'Alessandro. D'Alessandro goes back again to Fisher. So often the playmaker to Blake. Blake at half-back. He started on Goldsack. Takes a while and then delivers. Ray stood up well.
Have to mark it.
Clear it out, play on.
Blair was bearing down. D'Alessandro left half-back. Two to choose from. Wants to draw a man. Now he'll pop it over the top. Well, Pete didn't do him any favours. Pete came at him late. And as a result, coming up, Turvey was able to take the mark on his chest. Comes down the broadcast side. Dawes been handy so far. Gwilt knocked it away. Jones over the football and hard to shift. Tackled by Wellingham. That ball's not releasing.
You dragged it into him. Sherrod, jump off him.
So he's saying Wellingham, I think, dragged it in.
Yeah, that was a strong contested mark in the middle from Farron Ray. If the ball had come to ground, Collingwood had opened up St Kilda's defence.
He's done two strong things in this opening term, Ray. That second half might have been...
No, again, Lee. Free kick, Jason Blake.
That second half might have been the making of him in some ways. We know he's a talent. But it was a big second half he played on Swan. So a couple of free kicks. In fact, some important free kicks for the Saints early when you think back to that opening one. So Blake off one step, kicks the ball to Revolt, pushed forward in the marking contest, Revolt, and Kaczynski got down low with Wellingham.
Now this is the problem that St Kilda have got. Collingwood really trying to orchestrate that free man. They're putting a lot of time into Maxwell and O'Brien with Eddie and Mick Walter, but it still frees someone up. It's been O'Brien at times, but at the moment it seems to be Ben Reid.
Brown struggling for the moment on the ball, taps it down that time. Jones under pressure, still no inside 50s, could be one here though. Saints in control. Peake went to ground, comes back, gets it, tries to flick it across to Hayes. Hand pass came from Graham, kick from Jones. Getting back, Maxwell. Short, one to side bottom. Shaw is on. Shaw's got it now. Maxwell's peeled off. Here he comes. Takes the football, runs to the wing. Inside, loop ball. Gets a hand pass intended, I think, for Didak. Behind him was Brown. Gwilt put the body in. That was terrific. A couple of times last week in key matchups, key situations. Gwilt beat a couple. And again right there. And he wants to go on with it, Bruce.
Good on him. It's that sort of match, isn't it?
Yep.
And if you bear a grudge from a week ago, here's Goddard.
No doubt.
It looks like Goldsack is trying to take the Fisher match-up, and as we can see, McWalter sort of trying to take the... Or was Eddie? No, they're swapping over down, and Eddie's now trying to take the Maxwell match-up. But you've got to stay with them. You can't play as a forward trying to read the footy.
Jolly laid it down. Jones fetching it, though.
Just on the loose man in the defence for Collingwood, whether it's Maxwell or O'Brien. It's always going to be there because St Kilda have a spare man the other end. So basically what they're doing is they're saying, we'll back in Fisher, let them have Maxwell.
Jolly again wins the tap. Saints converge. Can't quite release the footy, and again I think it'll be a ball up.
So in that kind of tactical battle, it's a matter of which defensive forward does a better job. Is able to actually pick the time to play defensive forward and the time to be usable.
What a contrast in styles. 6 inside 50s to Collingwood, just the one to the Saints. Knocked out of there by Jolly. McAvoy flicked it across. Schneider ditto. Gave it to Goddard. Searching kick inside the forward 50. Getting a fist on it, Reid. Falls to Shaw. O'Brien on the assist. Gives it to Maxwell. He just thumps it back across the 50. Taken by Sidebottom. Now Blair is on. He'll have the football. Plenty of room to run. Blair. Left half back, kicks it up towards the wing. McCaffer comes to an awkward half volley. Kept his balance, McCaffer. Blair kept coming. Backs off. Blair under pressure. Chipped short of half forward. Getting a fist on it, Fisher. And he puts it across the boundary line.
That was a good win, wasn't it, for Goldsack? He made Fisher come with him. Fisher did the spoil. Just the tactical battle. Both sides have gone with similar tactics they started the game with. I'm amazed that there wasn't more innovation from the lessons of last week.
Hayes caught underneath it, and Jolly over the top, and then Hayes lays the tackle. Graham, Sidebottom taps back cleverly to Pendlebury, to Johnson, who was squeezed up. I think he might have kept it in, though. McAvoy had to search for it. It was a high ball, and Collingwood getting a little kick forward from Didak to half forward. Cloak and Dawson. Here is Didak. That must have been Blair. Didak almost in a goal-scoring position for him. Goldsack, and then Goddard. So good again. Schneider through the heart of the centre, important ball. Shaw holds it up, and then Shaw, normally creative, asks a little bit of Lee Brown.
Brown quick enough to release. O'Brien barely the 15. Goldsack playing on the forward line at the moment. That's a good kick. Beams has got it just inside the 50. Johnson is on. Johnson's got it.
St Kilda got the same problem they had in the first half last week, one forward. If Greenwald doesn't get it, no one else is going to.
In answer to your question, Lee, I think Goldsack's playing that defensive forward a hell of a lot better for Collingwood than Eddie down the other end. I still think, I know it might be obvious, but Gilbert's probably the man again for St Kilda to do it.
Again, St Kilda looking exactly the same as they were in the first half of the first quarter last week. Too slow.
Huge kick this one. Ben Johnson runs to the 50. It's beautiful off the boot. How sweet it is.
See Ben Johnson on there. He received the ball from Tyson Goldsack. Tyson Goldsack is playing that defensive role on either Fisher or Gilbert, depending the way it unfolds, doing that far better than Eddie and McWalter down the other end of the ground.
What price that, Cornella? Goldsack, Johnson, the opening 2 goals for Collingwood. So they get the early break. Swan out of the centre. Brown in a wrestling match with Fisher. They'd like that, Collingwood, having Fisher in a contest like that, Richo.
Yeah, both teams have the loose men back, as we're talking about, but the difference is Collingwood's ability to get on the spread and run forward and create options for them to kick to going inside 50. St Kilda can't spread as quickly.
Pendlebury was on his way, couldn't quite. Should be a free kick in the back against Baker. And this is good for Beams, getting hold of it a bit early. So good things happening for Collingwood at the moment. Slow kick though. And Goddard again, as he did last week in the opening turn, kept them in it in many ways, he and Fisher and Hayes. We haven't seen much of Hayes so far. Gwilt on the end of that from Montagna. A little bit of space. Now Gwilt needs to use it. It was a strange selection actually going down the line, 2 on 1, and he had the loose man in Peake who was shorter, and now Wellingham runs away from Peake and then kicks into the heart of the centre square, and now Sidebottom can attack, comes out wide to Brown, 60 metres from goal.
Plays on immediately to Shaw. Here's a thumping kick, takes something off this though, bounces it down towards full forward. Off Dempster and across the line. Goddard leads all comers now with 7 possessions. Just picking up where he left off last week.
I think that was a sign of Collingwood's approach. When Sidebottom was in the middle, he came out to the half-forward flank. They're not going to drive the ball long to that area, 20 to 30 metres out, which is that bombing distance. I think that's the lesson Collingwood have learned from their approach early last week.
Wellingham was wonderful moments ago. Won a big ball on the outer side, outnumbered. High ball, over the top, Brown claims the mark will be paid.
It's great at backing himself in the air, Brown, isn't he? Really, especially from behind when he gets a clear side of the ball.
Collingwood again, don't have value for money, lead by 14 points. Kick inside the forward line. Dawson comes up.
That's the spot they can't kick it. If they kick it to that spot, St Kilda will intercept it. That's that they've got to learn, Collingwood.
Goddard a sweeping hand pass, releases Montagna, takes on Cloak, high ball to the wing, 2 on 1. Brown over the top, knocks it down in front. Ball. O'Brien's been busy. Back to Ball, full-chested, lacking support, but knew where they were. Went back to Brown. Could have been taken high. No, free Del Santo. Well played, Hayes. Good walk. O'Brien.
First possession for Lenny Hayes.
It's a brick wall there at the moment, isn't it? O'Brien's floater into the centre, beat all comers. Baker had it stripped off him by Gilbert, actually, unintentionally, obviously, and then Baker couldn't find the footy, and Gilbert and Collingwood get a little win here. Oh, big win, actually.
A big win. Big difference there too, Bruce. They've been so clean, Collingwood. That time Baker a fumble, bit rusty.
Very early days, but I think Baker looks like that second up.
Side bottom wide to Shaw. And then Shaw goes to McCaffer. Now McCaffer's going short, but again the intention there, Lee, that you talked about, not to bomb, but to be precise with the kick going forward.
That means they're going to go wide a little bit, but they actually, certainly that area where Dawson marked that footy that was kicked in a minute or two ago, that's the area they've got to avoid with those long kicks.
60 metres out from Collingwood's attacking goal at the City end then. One down by Kazetsky. Pendlebury had it ricochet off his body. Dug out of there by Ray towards the wing. Knocked down by Reid, who kept coming. Thumps it. Not to the advantage of his teammates, though. Graham, Peak, now a chance. Opens up for the Saints. Gilbert into the path of Montagna. They've got men back. Rebold in the middle, calling for the football. Schneider, will he give it to Rebold? He will. Rebold runs in. Touched up the boot. Oh, my goodness.
Can you believe that?
Wonderful chase by Heath Shaw. He came up behind him like a librarian. He never heard him. No surprise, everybody else in the library is shouting. He's got the football.
That was as good a play as I've ever seen.
Steady.
That was impressive, Dennis.
I think the thing was Nick didn't have eyes in the back of his head. If he'd known he was there, he just would have gone back and kicked it from 3 metres out.
Tom, I remember Harley one day at Skills Stadium. Don't go off half-cocked.
Shaw back, don't worry, Tom, we've written it down. So Reid out wide to Maxwell. Oh, what a moment lost for the Saints. And it was the captain who fumbled it in the end. But full credit to Shaw. Goldsack short to Maxwell. Collingwood have been feeling pretty good about themselves at the moment. Ball running hard. So Hayes quite early, Ball getting a bit of footy. Goddard, a lot of football. Not a great kick, and Graham did well. Well, unfortunately and unluckily, I think, didn't get it paid. Side bottom banging. Thomas, not quite. Might get a second crack. McCaffer kicks the goal. They've kicked the first 3.
That's the head on the turf. It's a very hard thing when you go head first into it.
What a play that was. Rebold gets the goal at the other end. 8 points the difference. Now it's out to 19. McAvoy decisively. Who's there? Shaw. Just let the ball drop. In goes Hayes. And the umpire calls for it. Ball at the base of that.
Yeah, wonderful bit of play, no doubt about that.
It wasn't a fumble from Rebold. That was absolutely outstanding.
Team lifting stuff.
I didn't mean literally the fumble. I just meant making the wrong decision.
This is not insignificant, this, to lose a player. You'd assume he'll come back on, but you doubt whether he'd be at the same, I guess, mental alertness that he would have been if he wasn't concussed.
Out of the congestion, Jolly launches towards half-forward. Dawes just rises, takes the easy mark. Everybody drifting back for Collingwood, but the kick is terrible. Schneider of St.Kilda goes towards the outer side wing, just dropping it in short. Gilbert over the top to Hayes. They work a little 1-2 and free up Eddie. Eddie, the defensive side of the wing. That's a terrible kick. Rebold made it look okay. Comes back to Schneider. Schneider to Rebold, anxious to make amends. Not a particularly good kick. Now Reid, they can burst back. Rebound opportunity. Gave it to Thomas. Thomas comes out wide. Wellingham. Look at McCaffer run. McCaffer takes the mark 60 metres out. On the move is Cloak. And Cloak takes the mark. Will it be 50? I doubt it. So Cloak with the angle to open up for the left footer from the right full forward pocket.
Enormous work rate from young McCaffrey to push basically from centre half forward right to the flank, able to get the ball onto Cloak.
And Collingwood play the wings so well and play wide so
no surprise
productively, don't they?
Yeah, Collingwood's run early. Question is, so it's the goal or two. You get 4 or 5 goals in front.
Yep.
That just gets unmanageable even early.
So Cloak, that's not going to be a goal. Won't be a score. Across the face, McAvoy takes the mark. Well, we talk a lot about Saints footy, under the pump, maintaining structures, not panicking. You feel like they've got to a moment here, don't you?
Yep.
3 goals down, nothing much happening, pressure building, need to get the scoreboard ticking. Can they maintain their nerve? Because at the moment they're getting slaughtered here. Johnson probing, kick to Thomas. Del Santo put a hand up and then went off the ground. Important he doesn't fall over. McWalter, Jones, back inboard. McWalter again, running hard, Gilbert, wobbly kick, Revolt, given no chance there, and Goldsack, for not the first time today, does something good for the Pies.
Now it opens up again, Pendlebury goes to half forward, Tuvey, right at the centre circles, McCaffrey's on to the far side, goes in that direction, will it get there in time? Yes it does, McCaffrey. Well, they're just ripping the Saints to shreds everywhere, but on the scoreboard.
McCaffrey's the sort of player that St Kilda would love at the other end, another target with a huge work rate that can also has the defensive values to put into the Collingwood defenders.
Number 26 in the 06 rookie draft. Not bad value there as he kicks inside the forward 50 off hands. Boundary throw in. 1:24 to go. Collingwood up by 19.
Just at the moment, Collingwood got the same problem they had. They've had 15 inside 50s for only 3 goals. I mean, so they've stopped St Kilda scoring, but they're not getting great score themselves.
Wellingham, and it's a boundary throw in.
Isn't this so much like the first half of the first quarter last week? Collingwood have just running St Kilda off their legs. St Kilda look like they've got Rewalt or no one who's going to get the ball in their forward line. St Kilda are going to have to adjust a little earlier than half-time, I suspect, this week.
Well, the Saints were this margin behind during that first quarter. Collingwood were 4 goals to 1 at one stage. And then the Saints kicked those 2 late ones. Schneider, that very late one. Wellingham very good early here. Beams within range. Kicks to full forward. Holding his spot. Dawes was terrific, and then he legs Jones. But he's a strong man, Dawes. I mean, it took 2 to get him down. They are just hanging on, the Saints. I know it's early, but Collingwood are turning up the heat. Wide. Ray.
Nick Revolt and Nathan Brown, the only players in the forward half for St Kilda.
So Farron Ray in the back half, wanting Nick Revolt. Goldsack with him. McAvoy took an eternity. Back to Gilbert.
Runs the line, has a bounce, looks inside the forward 50, then goes short. Nobody inside the 50 for the Saints. Storming back is Peak. Revolt sends it long towards full forward. Bounces through for a behind. Well, effectively, they double their score. Johnson, meantime, whips it in, but I doubt they can go the length of the ground here. Pendlebury to Jolly, and that will do it. Jolly finishes up with a football. I know I said it last week, but no sign of the Jolly wobbles. And this is a replay. I can say it. Quarter time. Collingwood 3-2. St Kilda 2 behinds. Margin 18 points in the grand final replay. Collingwood fired up and firing. Quarter time in the grand final replay. It's 3-2-20. to 2 behinds. Goldsack, Johnson and McCaffer have got the goals. McCaffer's 7 possessions, Heathshaw 7 possessions. And what about that smother on Nick Revolt? Running into an open goal, his centred ball had come in from Schneider. It seemed a goal for the taking, and suddenly out of nowhere, Heathshaw across his boot. Let's go down to Tim Watson now, who's got Stephen Silvani.
Well, Sauce, the backline coach earns his money at the St Kilda Football Club.
Yeah, well, look, you know, overall they beat us in all our indicators, and we were under pressure. Thought we probably steadied a little bit in that later part of that quarter, but certainly we're going to have to get moving.
You're going to have to get some penetration through the midfield too to give your forward some opportunities.
Yeah, I think we only had 4 or 5 inside 50s that quarter, so you know, we're going to have to give our forwards a bit of opportunity, so we can't play the game in our back half.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Richo, can you tell us about the weather? I noticed both clubs went for the shade there at quarter time. We started the game with about 17 degrees. What's it like now?
Yeah, out in the sun, there's definitely a bit of bite in the heat, and both clubs are concerned about it. They brought their huddles right over into the shade in front of the members' grandstand here. For the Saints, I think they might have to make the move earlier than I thought. Gilbert has to go to half forward. They need someone there with a strong work rate that can attract the ball, because Nick Revolt is the only target at this stage.
Good on you, Matthew. So Collingwood lead it by 18 points. This time last week the margin was 6 points. Here's Bruce.
Good on you, Dennis. Swan just the 3 disposals in the opening term. Stevie Milne didn't touch the footy in the opening term.
And that point that Richo, it just seems so obvious that Sam Gilbert is now going to line up in the forward third for St Kilda. He did well in the second half last week, but I guess it was an element of let's not give Collingwood what they're expecting. But sometimes if you do it well, it doesn't matter what the opposition. Someone said once, if you can tell your opposition the game plan as long as you play it well.
And that's the important part of it, Nick Maxwell going to Sam Gilbert. From what I saw last week in the game, he knew his way around a forward line. He could attract the ball and again put on that pressure, defensive pressure on the Collingwood defenders.
So great start for Collingwood. The only good news for the Saints here, the last 3 teams to have goalless opening quarters went on to win the grand final, and they were all against Collingwood. Carlton in 70 and 79, Brisbane in 02. The Saints fans need something to hang on to right now. Not sure if that'll help. McCaffrey went to ground. He had 7 disposals in the opening term. Blake down low. Peake and Didak. Peake trying to win the ball. Does manage to get it forward. Shaw overran. Here is Gilbert. And Hayes, who only had the 1 disposal in that opening term, to Gilbert. Well, he kicked his first goal in a final last week. He doesn't quite straighten it, but he's made an impact immediately.
Made things happen straight away. Still Collingwood were able to orchestrate a free man behind the play, which was Heathshaw. Gilbert was forced to leave Maxwell to push up on that. But he's got energy. He's got real intensity when he's around the football.
O'Brien, a driving kick, 3-on-2 favours the Saints. Shaw is up. Realistic according to the umpire, close to the boundary line. Keeping it in, Baker, head down, slips a hand pass away. Hayes, intervention, brilliant there by Jolly. Got a timely hand on the football. Down goes Blair. It was Fisher who applied a strong tackle. In goes Hayes, and the umpire calls for it.
Just looking at matchups. To see the Shaw attempt here. Could have been a free kick, I reckon, but we're talking about the midfield matchups. It looks like perhaps Pendlebury is going to Hayes.
Left his message before the beep. Knocked down, taken now by Dempster. Nowhere to go.
Let him up.
Umpire Ryan calls for it again with a shade. Meets the sunlight.
Thank you.
It's a little bit of verbals going back to their positions after quarter time.
No, they're both antagonists.
It's been done before too. Where's Mick? Hurriedly onto the boot there from Pendlebury. Thomas finds a way through. Too nimble for McAvoy. Kicks inside the forward 50. Gwilt is the spare man.
Holding on the jumper.
He won't be required. It's going to be a free kick to Blake going against McCaffer. McCaffer has been dangerous on that forward line.
Well, Thomas looked up and he saw Gwilt all alone, so he's able to give McCaffer a one-on-one. So Gwilt out wide. Schneider had a lot of the ball in the opening term.
This is the place where St Kilda don't spread as well as Collingwood. I mean, they've got to hold on to the ball, whereas Collingwood, when they get these plays and they get the ball on the move, got plenty of midfielders pushing the space.
So the slower the game, the better for the Saints, and the faster the game, the better for Collingwood. They bring it wide and slow, and they haven't gained any territory at all.
From a purely statistical point of view, they only play on from marks about 17% of the time, so this is their build-up. This is Saints footy.
It's a terrible kick coming out from Blake. He knows Tim Watson.
Lee talked about it earlier in the game about coming up second time round for Stephen Baker again in a ball right down in front of us here on the boundary line. He fumbled. He just doesn't have his normal short touch with the ball.
And speaking of that, St Kilda's disposal hasn't been great. A lot of miscues when they're controlling the football. Had 2 and 1 on the wing. Didn't make the most of it. Montagna goes looking for the champ. Knocked away from Revolt. In front, Dempster back to Revolt. High ball down towards half forward. Coming hard was Peake. Knocked away by Shaw. Here's trouble for the Magpies. Milne. Gilbert. Is he accurate this time? No. He's got the goal surrounded. He misses to the left.
Well, maybe should have just popped it onto Del Santo. I think St Kilda would have liked the ball in Del Santo's hand in that position.
You see Del Santo just to the screen. Yeah, just flick it across.
I think he went back to Shepherd.
So Johnson to himself, and then he runs his full measure. Thomas, that's a wonderful mark.
He's been good again, hasn't he, early? Really clean, really quick.
Hold there, Brett! Move it on! Plan!
Short, low, 2V. Gee, the umpires have been good on it.
Good common sense umpiring, isn't it? Yeah.
Could have fallen for 50 there and didn't. That's an awkward kick by 2V. Wellingham. Brilliant opening quarter. Handball forward. Swan held his ground cleverly. Didak, Swan, Dempster, Swan. Wellingham with pace. Has to keep his head over the ball. He does and gets a free kick.
Watch his head. The reason Collingwood were able to win the ball back was they had numbers at the contest.
So Wellingham wanting side bottom and Fisher getting back. Now he's got Gilbert out wide.
Hasn't he changed the look of the game?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gilbert on the wing. O'Brien closing. Gilbert just gets boot to ball. Revolt the target. Well done by Brown. Gave a contest, got him out of bounds.
He's really good when he gets there in the contest. Staying with Reroll's the problem. But when they're body to body, Brown's doing a good job.
Ruckman covering some ground here too. Goddard. Jolly just got there in the nick of time. Wellingham digs it out. Over the football ball. Could have been taken high. Weathered the storm. Did brilliantly. Side bottom so good last week. To half-Orton doors. Now Didak is breaking. Ball comes across to Blair. Will it get to Didak? Oh, good work by Cloak. Didak is on. Didak goes in. There's no repeat of Shaw. He kicks the goal.
Good aerial shot, isn't it, really? Didak is just flowing forward. They had the 2-on-1. As long as the ball bounced nicely, which it did, and an easy goal. But they got behind the St Kilda defence. That was the key thing for Collingwood. They're just running power is on top.
Well, they were 22 points in front last week when Cloak had those couple of shots for goal. That's where they are at the moment. They've got there quicker this week. Pendlebury back inside 50. Side bottom. Started as he finished last week. He's playing so well. Dawson to Fisher, to Jones, deep in defence, to Del Santo, went without it, has to go back, taken by Brown, up and high, play on called, bounce off the back of Baker, Fisher, well done, Hayes, Ray under the pump, high tackle, it'll come back.
50, no.
Against Lee Brown.
Where the footy was, Brad. Free kick off the ball. Where the footy was. It's off the ball.
Lee's given a few away, not our Lee, but Lee Brown.
Yeah,
I think
so back it does come to Ray. Well, they need the next goal, and that is so obvious, but must get it here, St Kilda.
At half-time last week, the margin was 24. But it took something special to get them back in. Ray towards half-forward. McAvoy, strong mark.
Taking a couple.
You'll flick it on to Goddard if you can.
Still inside the centre square, McAvoy. Del Santo gets it, but right idea anyway. Kicks inside the forward 50. Revolt, fingertips to it. Schneider wants his left side. Can't buy that dummy. Well done. Comes to Revolt out of bounds on the fall. Schneider almost got away. Stripped of the football. Collingwood get it back. 22 points the difference. Not halfway through the second term. Jolly outside the defensive 50. McAvoy in from the side. Brown gave a contest. Del Santo claimed. Ball up.
contest is not such a bad result for St Kilda if they can keep it in this particular pattern of play, slow things up a bit, playing to their hands.
Again, Thomas tries third man up.
You've got to take your chance. Interesting, isn't it? It's 4 goals. 4 goals, 2, 6 scoring shots to 4. I mean, it's just St Kilda are just not taking their chances at all.
Good tap by Brown, and then Swan chasing hard, so balanced. Revolt, Schneider, still with Schneider. Goddard tries to crash through. Ray's handball poor. Taken by Montagna. Gets a bit on it. It's a chance.
Speaking about taking their chances, Darren Jolly's actually come off at the moment, so Ben McAvoy's rucking directly against Lee Brown. If St Kilda can force the stoppage, you'd reckon that they'd be able to work their way out of it.
Sure to himself, now he takes off. Runs the boundary, gained about 35 metres, 2-on-1 on the outer side. In front, almost the ball taken by Baker. The cavalry arrive quickly. Fisher jams it on the boot. Shaw again, though. Kept running. Shaw held up that time by McAvoy. Jarred out of there, knocked by Gilbert. Back towards Dempster. Dempster comes to Goddard alongside the centre circles. Sends a high ball back towards half forward and McAvoy. But he won't get there in time. Side bottom, drifting back. Beams is running hard. Will he be used? It'll go to him now. Beams stretches. Oh, that was a golden opportunity missed.
Don't you get the impression with St Kilda, they've got half a dozen players they don't really want the ball with. They've got just half, like Goddard players like that are their offensive players. But there's a few that just can't do anything with the footy.
So here is Goddard.
Been fantastic again.
Yeah, hasn't he?
To Ray, and then now Del Santo. Stopped and prop, McWalter, it was touched off the boot. Kosicki with a fumble. Cozzy looks so slow at the moment, doesn't he? Tuvey cut off. Del Santo, not a great handball. Kosicki actually handballs beautifully, but to Collingwood. Now Fisher down low. To Dawson. Now here's a chance for a switch. Now Pete can run. He'll get it now.
Gilbert
is on.
Can he kick the goal?
Well, Gilbert's had 2 shots for goal in this quarter and missed them both. And that one, he's missed again.
At the post.
I'll tell you what, Sam Gilbert's work rate has just been enormous. You wonder how long he can keep up that intensity of running. He had a huge game last week from a work rate point of view. Again, running himself into the ground.
Beautiful kick fights too. What was Blair thinking moments ago? Just went halfway and neither one thing nor the other. Saints with the football on the outer side. Plenty of numbers. Ray back inside the forward 50. Working at the back there was Johnson. Coming across on the angle is Gilbert. Playing a lone hand on the forward line. And that's saying something because Nick Riewoldt is down there. We've got a boundary throw in.
But now they've got 2. They've got Riewoldt who's making himself a target and Gilbert who's making himself a target.
Hasn't had a break yet, Sam Gilbert. 39 minutes of the total game time.
Right full forward. Brown. Riewoldt does the ruck work. Came wide of the pack. Over the football. I think it's ball in there. And we'll have a ball up.
Tim, down to you.
Well, Graham's still on the bench. We saw him crash heavily in the first quarter. He hasn't even stood up. He hasn't even gone for a bit of a run. So you've got to think at this stage they're down to 3. It's a warm day. That's going to be really difficult for the Saints.
Riewoldt over the top. Remembering they played with 1 short last week for much of the match again, with Gardner out of action just before half-time. Thomas, Didak, just thinks his way through things. Wellingham, Del Santo gets involved with Dempster in his 5th grand final, along with Schneider. 5 grand finals in 6 years with the double up this time.
We're into the next phase of the game now. That first initial speed has come off the game. Now it's a much more brutal, almost hand-to-hand combat.
Magpies a little too cute there. That's got to be a free kick. Not sure what page Lee is on today.
Just here.
That's 4 against Lee Brown.
Trying too hard to get the knockout. Sometimes as a ruckman, you just got to make sure you compete, but giving away free kicks, that's the worst thing.
I think that's his job, as his name would imply, just muddy the waters as the ball goes across to Fisher.
Here we go. 50-metre shot.
That's it.
The game is in their half. It's been in the Collingwood half, the St Kilda half of the ground for the past 5 or 6 minutes. Must capitalise.
Coming up for his 12th possession. Of course, the game played very much on defenders' terms if they play for the Saints. But having said that, I mean, last week at times it appeared as if it turned up at the Collingwood team meeting. They were kicking it to him. This time a teammate has kicked it to him. 52 metres out, gets underneath it. Oh, my goodness. 7 straight behinds for St Kilda.
And the irony in all of this is that Collingwood's accuracy has been a talking point all year, hasn't it?
They've got 2 rush behind Collingwood, so they kick 4 shots at goal for 4 goals.
I just feel that that's going to be vital at the end of this match. The match last week that ended up being played in centimetres, wasn't it? Shaw's kick again, and Thomas
squeezing the boundary.
Can I say it, Dennis, that kick?
Yes, please.
Centimetre perfect.
Special, Bruce.
So Tuvey running, drawing. Maybe not a good idea for McCaffrey. He's back sore suddenly. Down low. Well done by Ball. He started really well. And then Thomas under pressure. So the Saints have had a good little patch. They just can't get a goal.
Yep.
You almost sensed that ball was going to be kicked out of bounds eventually from the pressure. Started with the Hayes tackle. He's starting to will himself back into the game.
Inside 50s 2 this quarter for Collingwood, 8 to St Kilda. So we know St Kilda are getting within scoring distance.
So Gwilt forced to kick high. Asked to play on. Ray front spot. Revolt's got it. 60 metres out.
Goddard's deep.
Wheels around. This is Goddard's spot. He's got it. It's a free kick.
Cheers, good play by Goddard.
Oh, he's a special player, isn't he?
He saw that Maxwell had the position. He pushed back hard, and when he pushed into Maxwell hard, that's when just an incidental high contact. Let's have a look at this. He pushes back, just the arm across the shoulder. He certainly made it seen. Well, I guess it was there.
This is the ultimate test, because this guy doesn't miss, and they have been missing all day. Nah, he gets it. They needed it, and the right bloke at the right time.
Brendan Goddard, he has been drifting forward this quarter, and it was the first time they've been able to get it to him one-on-one. Every time he's gone forward, Nick Maxwell has gone with him. In fact, now he's going with him all over the ground.
After 43 minutes, it was like waiting for Goddard. The hand pass comes across there, taken by Graham from Hayes, but Blair with the outside of the boot. Gwilt had it knocked away, not paid. Down goes Beams, kept it alive. Swan went to ground. Terrific by Dawson. Gwilt under pressure. Jones the fumble. Didac, so dangerous. He misses. Barely scored a behind Alan Didac.
Oh, there's a handful of St Kilda players. They're in the game, but there's a handful of St Kilda players that just have been fumbly at ground level. Jones, Baker, just a couple to name a few. Just their ball handling under pressure, just a little bit sloppy.
So Goddard to Blake.
How many Goddards are there?
They might have to take the ard off the Goddard, I reckon.
I think so.
Back he goes again to Gwilt. Now Gwilt's got Dempster on. Been able to get this going a bit, the Saints, is Lucy. Now Graham running hard, so Graham back on the field. A moment ago he handballed to a Collingwood player, so I'm not sure how clear the head is, but he's taken the mark. This is a big win for the Saints if they can get him back into the match, and obviously he's out there now, kicking it to about 60 metres. Revolt was at the back of Gilbert, ball down low. Tuvey with a bit of pace, held up though. Blair did very well to Johnson, released him on the right side, his left.
Yeah, look short, good.
To Maxwell, and then Maxwell a long kick. Swan running hard. It's a behind.
Now, Nick Maxwell did exactly what the opposition players should do to him. He's playing on Brendan Goddard. Brendan Goddard tried to drop back and fill the space, short, but he drew the ball.
Dane Swan just 4 possessions so far. That one tantalisingly close. McWalter short of half back. Hayes has to wait. Man in the hands of the trainers on the outer side. Tuvey breaks free of them now. Meantime, Hayes plays on. Comes across the ground in the shadows. Blake. Short one. Here's Graham. Graham off his step. Del Santo. 60 metres out. Del Santo good with the football in his hands, and that's beautiful. Bounces though off the chest of Milne. Knocked down by Shaw. Taken by Sidebottom. Grabbing the football with Schneider. Went to ground. Knocked away by Beams. Taken by Dempster. Tackled by Shaw. Close to the boundary line. Sidebottom. Sweeping hand pass forward. Well worked. Around the outer side they come. Thomas just loops it over the top. He got it from Reed. Kicks it up towards the wing. Gwilt steadfast again. Gets a hand pass away to Jones. Taken by Hayes. Front arm. Had it a long time. Maxwell claimed him. Free kick Collingwood. No play on's the call. Gwilt comes back. Peake's got it.
Has to make a decision now. Does he go the long kick? He had Montagna short. He went the wrong way here. And the bouncing ball. Jolly's onto it. Still Jolly. Well, this is costly. McCaffrey kicks his second.
Have a look at this ball that bounced in front of the ruckman. The oval ball over his head. Couldn't lay the tackle. Now it's an easy goal to Collingwood. The defensive mistakes, that was costly for St Kilda.
Well, if you want a snapshot of this game, 2 goals in the turn for Collingwood, both from the goal square. That's how it's being played. Jolly decisively. Pendlebury swings it down towards half forward, side bottom, lets it bounce, runs onto it. Thomas is on, uses him as a decoy, comes back to the middle, and Jolly! That was a terrific mark. The big guy had to change direction. Went back and found the footy, and it stuck.
This is exactly what we know Darren Jolly's capable of.
Forward.
Centre clearance, it's actually 6-zip in favour of Collingwood at the moment. Pendlebury was the one who got it out, but Darren Jolly knows his way around the forward 50. McAvoy has to be aware of that. Pretty important couple of minutes.
Remember the second half last week when Kosicki was rucking, Jolly was chasing him.
Yep.
But right at the moment, McAvoy is just getting into defence, and Jolly plays that well.
What an acquisition he's been. Melbourne to the Swans to Collingwood. This one is working back. It's beautiful.
He's Collingwood's only premiership player out there, having played for the Swans in his first year. This is the biggest margin in either of the 2 matches. They're out to 27 now.
And the first of those goals was a bad St Kilda error, so all of a sudden that tests the composure of the Saints.
So Jolly won the tap a moment ago and then kicked the goal. So forward they go. It was a toe poke from Pendlebury. And now Swan to side bottom, goes inside. Goldsack's already kicked one. Back to side bottom, hip and shoulder by Dempster. Del Santo on the wrong side for him, but he is skillful. Montagna, free kick to Willingham, not paid. Ball comes back from Tuvey, back to Willingham. Oh, that's out on the foot.
That's testing it.
Thanks, Jared. That's enough.
Dominating the centre clearance at the moment, Collingwood at 7-zip, and it's starting to translate into scoreboard. It doesn't always happen that way, but you get the sense that they're really dominating that part of the ground.
And you can get the sense if Collingwood get the next goal, good luck, Saints.
Yeah, Saints were lucky twice there, back to back. Half chances, not quite materialising as far as Collingwood were concerned. So Fisher, deep in his own defensive area. Backs to the wall in more ways than one. Drives it to the outer side, clears the pack. Peake arrives, hand passes into the oncoming Thomas. Thomas dances, gives it across to side bottom, kicks to the 50, Blair, feeds it back, hard against the boundary line, Shaw, over the top, cloak almost, goes after it, conceding it behind was Dawson. And who could say there was no pressure there? They're swamped with pressure, St Kilda. It's coming out of their ears.
So Goddard, Del Santo, Goddard, Montagna off one step to Graham. Got to think their way through this, the Saints, don't they? Wide, Revol has to half volley it, and then almost ran into Dempster. Back, Montagna. They are on the back foot as they were last week a lot. Peake having a poor first half. Goldsack back to Pendlebury having a very good first half. Gwilt terrific.
You can just see now the minds are willing, but the bodies are there's starting to be mistakes because there's that slight little bit of fatigue. It's got to be there earlier in today's game than it is in your normal grand final, let alone last week's.
Another goal, and you get the feeling the Saints will be on their knees, and Collingwood trying everything at the moment to force the issue. Graham out of the congestion. Kosicki was tackled. Over the football is Hayes. He's taken the ground. Deadlock. And the Collingwood supporters even like that.
Thank you, mate.
Down towards left half forward. 6-5-1-7. The 7th goal could be the tipping point. Brown taps it down. Goddard heard the voice, went to Hayes. He hand passed across towards Ray, had it for a long time.
Jared Blair.
Heard the umpire. Max Hudson in black and white. He was the story in the grand final last year for at least a week. After the grand final, this man was. Luke Ball on the wing, short to Johnson.
Collingwood can afford just to slow the game down. What are we at? Just under 4 minutes to go. They can control the tempo of the game, just reserve a bit of energy because they'll need it in the second half.
So Johnson hugging the line. He had a couple of players loose, but they were a long way away on the other side. Dawes, is it paid? No. Might have been a bit stiff. Wellingham getting through brilliantly, but not a great handball. Montagna just pushing the ball forward down the line. Reid, well done to Ball. Ball looks up. Can he deliver? He kicks to 50 metres. Cloak was held onto for a moment, and Baker comes across and takes the mark. Reid's hurt himself by the look of it.
Rolled his ankle in the tackle there, I think, Bruce.
Ooh, that's big. Brown. The pinch hit. Ruckman comes on to be a key defender, at least for the moment. High ball in the Brown direction. That's pretty good. Thumped it forward. In front, Jolly cast in the role of a rover. Cops it up, though. Del Santo. She had it a long time. McAvoy looked like the old 360 lead. McAvoy is tackled by Didak. Umpires let them play and play and play. McAvoy goes across towards Graham. He's confronted. That's your opinion. We'll have a ball up 60 metres out, Tom Harley.
Great umpiring, Dennis. Just let it go. You know, there's some fantastic one-on-one contests out here, and they've just wheeled it through, and the umpires adjudicated that a treat.
The grand final ambassador always says the right thing, doesn't he? Yes. But it was terrific stuff. Peak down low. Thomas, well played, Thomas, against the odds. Kazicki, well, too slow to move. Didak, then Hayes to Dawson. No time and space. Back inside, Dempster and Eddie. Oh, gee, Hayes threw one at Didak there. Unlike Lenny.
Serious stakes here, Bruce.
He must have.
Serious stakes here.
Again. I reckon he said to Lenny, I reckon Brendan deserved that Norm Smith last week. I think Lenny did plenty, don't you? Hayes in hard. And again, it looks like being a ball up.
Oh, it's going to have to be physical. Yeah, just both the big players for St Kilda, Kazicki and McAvoy, when the ball's at their feet, they're almost no value. And that's just the Achilles heel for St Kilda compared to Collingwood.
Rucks go at it, knocked down by Jolly. Ball, hand passes Goldwood. Leading back is Dawson, needs to be clean and was. Dempster, Gwilt. Gwilt the high ball towards the wing. All Collingwood. Needed somebody on the ground. Well, too slow there was Del Santo. The umpires have put the whistle away on holding the footy. Upended his ball, and the ball's gone out of bounds. The two 12s, the two mates, and they're at it.
Jesus,
nobody can be trusted.
Some shadow boxing going on out there at the moment.
Move it on! Play on!
So off one step, Del Santo. It's a free kick.
Free kick off the ball! Got our free kick! Got our!
So I think against Maxwell. Now Montagna running hard. 60 metres out. Centering kick. Big fly came from Jolly. She's played a quarter Jolly, hasn't he?
Good play by Kazicki to get in there and be the target. Great defensive ruck work by Jolly. Often said ruckmen don't usually defend as well as they attack, but that was terrific by Jolly.
You feel like Gardner's being missed now, don't you? I mean, a fit Gardner, I know that's hypothetical stuff, but Jolly having a huge impact. Eddie brought down by Goldsack. Beams has to go backwards. Shaw. Schneider. Brilliantly done, Schneider. And then a high ball. It's all Collingwood. And Swanee, who's had a quietish first half, takes the mark.
Speaking about Darren Jolly, Collingwood have been able to orchestrate that spare man behind the play all day, but they're doing it with a ruckman this time, so slightly less conventional than they have in the past.
Probably because Reid's off the field.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Clock running down to half-time inside the last minute. Pendlebury drives it outside the defensive 50. Saints have to kick a goal here. Del Santo feeds it back. Goddard slips it away. Gwilt has it. 30 seconds to go. Centering kick. It's all Saints. They queue up. And Eddie takes the mark directly in front. Schneider is on. He'll go to Schneider. And Schneider is marked about 30 metres out.
Well, he's got a good record in grand finals. He always kicks at least one, Schneider. He's kicked 5 goals in his 4 grand finals before today. Eddie, well done to Schneider. Well, we often say, Lee, these are big kicks. Well, this is massive.
They've got to take every shot, St Kilda. They don't like getting a lot of them.
So it's half-time here at the MCG. Not going to come back. And the Saints are 1 goal 8 at half-time in the big game against Collingwood, 6 goals 5. So it was 24 points last week. Today, it's 27. Can the Saints come back again? It's 41-14 in the grand final replay.
Half-time in the grand final replay, and the Magpies on top. They lead 6-5-41. St Kilda 1-8-14. McCaffer with 2 goals. Ball enjoying himself, having a ball. 14 possessions, side bottom. Another great game today. He was terrific last week, 14 possessions. Goddard has been quite outstanding with 19. So many highlights in the first half with the boys again to dissect what has happened. And let's begin with perhaps a point that steeled Collingwood. The run back by Heath Shaw, throwing himself across the boot of the St Kilda skipper.
I think I actually declared this the best bit of play I've ever seen, and I'll stand by that. He's come from a long way back. He's actually taken the ball off Nick Revolt's hands before he's had a chance to get the ball. Went down the other end, so it was a double whammy for Collingwood.
It was a fantastic effort. That was a goal that was denied. Great morale for Collingwood, shocking for St Kilda.
And the courage of Nathan Brown to actually leave Riewoldt, just knowing that someone was actually going to try and put some pressure on Riewoldt. It was just fantastic play all round.
Now what about Scotty Pendlebury? He's never had 30 possessions against the Saints. He's well on the way this afternoon. He's having a blinder.
Yeah, he's at the 13 possessions. I reckon he's doing a bit of a run with job, not a strict tag on Lenny Hayes. He's got the numbers up on Hayes at the moment. His work in the clearance has been great. Collingwood are dominating the centre clearances, and Scott Pendlebury's one of the reasons why.
If you get the centre bounce clearances, just so dangerous for defence, aren't they? That St Kilda defend really well when the ball's in motion, but when it comes forward from the centre, your defence is completely unpositioned.
And Pendlebury leading the way, just around the stoppage. His direction, looking from above, his direction has just been outstanding all the first half.
Fair to say 27 points though, guys, not insurmountable.
One of the things that Ross Lyon said early in the game, we want to have 110 tackles. Remember that 100 last week? They've had 34 at this point. So their pressure to actually nail Collingwood when Collingwood get their hands on the footy, that's really going to be struggling at this point. It's going to be even harder in the second half, I reckon.
History often says that a grand final tosses up some unsung heroes. Brent McCaffer has been quite outstanding with 2 goals to the break and their most lively forward.
You get the feeling that he's one of Mick Malthouse's favourite players, and you'd love to see a McCaffer at the other end of the ground. He has a huge work rate across the flanks. He almost sort of orchestrates the way Collingwood bring the ball into their forward 50 by leading to the flanks, provides a lot of forward pressure, lays a lot of tackles. He's been one of the shining lights for the Pies today.
I think when we saw that last McCaffer goal from the St Kilda turnover across halfback, that was a critical goal because St Kilda had a bit of control of the game at that point.
They certainly did. The first 12 minutes of the second quarter, the Saints wrestled back, only converted 1 goal, but that was a critical turnover without a doubt.
So what are the moods in the respective rooms as we take a look below stairs, if you like? The margin 27 points at half-time, so much to play for. Collingwood on top, and I dare say they're daring to dream, but they can't dream too much. 27 points, more half-time activity right after this.
I'm sick of this, I wanna know what it is. I've got my
Half-time in the grand final replay. Collingwood lead by 27. This is the second lowest half-time score St Kilda's in 80 years in grand finals. Collingwood kicked a single goal in 1960 against Melbourne, and the bad news, they only got 2-2 for the match. So much to do for the Saints. Let's have a look at Jason Graham, who looked as if he was down and out, but he did come back and got some disposal, so at least they're not going to be a rotation down, we feel.
He had some influence when he came back on. You just see, I think he's actually hit the side of his head, his temple really flush on the ground. Looked underdone last week. He only had the 11 possessions. He's one of those guys who can provide plenty of rebound, but as I said, he actually contributed when he came back on the ground, which is a bit of a plus for St Kilda.
Looks like he'll be okay, even though he was off the ground for that 20 minutes or so.
And Brad, they played the Gilbert hand a bit earlier today. Now, he had 3 shots on goal in that second quarter.
He did, yeah. Played down in defence in the first quarter. Start of the second quarter, goes forward and had an impact. 2 shots, could have kicked 2 goals. Easy sort of misses, I suppose. But at the end of the day, he is still having an impact, and he is working very, very hard as a forward and a utility right across the ground.
I would have really liked to have seen that done earlier. I think Wilt is a player who's really elevated his game in the big games in particular, and he's doing the role that Gilbert plays down back. So he provides the perfect. Gilbert, I talk about, provides the perfect role for Nick Riewoldt.
Well, they're getting nothing out of Cozzy or McAvoy when they're not rucking. I mean, at the moment, as forwards, they're just looking too slow when the ball hits the ground and they're not marking it.
And Lee, you'd love the luxury of Goddard being able to go forward a bit more. He's done so much in this first half, but they still trail by 27.
Well, he's been magnificent, though. They look like they've tried to get Tuvey on him at different stages, but his ability, he's been the one St Kilda player, I reckon, that just come up this week at this point of time, and he's been all over the field. But yeah, they'd like 2 or 3 of him, I think.
Just has a great balance in his game. He's had the 19 possession, half of which have been contested. He gets half his rebounds and they match up to his inside 50s. He plays it all. I mean, you can argue a case he's the best player on the ground again, Brad.
Oh, without a doubt, he's been outstanding. And for me, it was the intensity you've seen in the interviews before the game. That's the focus that Goddard's had the last 2 weeks, and that's why he's performing at the top level on grand final day.
Well, we were here last week, though, 24 points down. We know what happened. The job all in front of them here, and it doesn't finish the season with the grand final replay. We've got the international rules not that far away.
News on Ben Reid.
Well, he hasn't reappeared yet, Dennis. Now, we watched him at half-time. We both went down, Richo and I both went down to watch St Kilda and Collingwood come back down the race at half-time. He was 5 minutes after the Collingwood players. He was with one of the medicos. He actually looked okay. There was no heavy strapping. There is some suggestion it might have been his knee. It looked to me that it was his ankle. There's a little bit of strapping around his ankle. But at this stage, he still hasn't reappeared out on the ground. So I guess you've got to say that he's doubtful in the second half.
Okay, Richard, the margin was 24 points at halftime last week. It's 27 currently. I'll ask you the same question. There's a replay. What do the Saints need to do to win?
Well, that's right. Last week, Ross Lyon pulled a rabbit out of the hat. He put Sam Gilbert forward, and it changed the whole dynamic, got them back into the game. This week, not as simple. He's already tried that, and Gilbert actually played well, but just missed those 3 shots at goal. If I was Ross Lyon, I just asked for a lift from some of my senior players, namely Del Santo and Montagna in the midfield, to get some run and overlap, give the forwards a chance, and then hopefully Riewoldt and Milne can take a hold of those chances.
And I suppose it's a fair question too, Lee. Second week in a row, if they concede the first goal here, the Saints, they're over 5 goals down. Such a tough game last week, tough first half today. Can they get back into it?
Well, I think probably no is the answer. No, partly think of that because their energy level in their tackle count is so low that I think when Collingwood are winning the ball, they're able to break clear of the St Kilda pressure. Certainly, it's 9 scoring shots to 11. So in that regard, St Kilda are certainly in the game. But hauling back a 29-point margin, that's going to be a massive ask.
Your thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, look, I agree totally with Lee. I think the flow of the game is with Collingwood. I can't see St Kilda really breaking down that wall every time they've gone forward. Gilbert's been important but hasn't been effective. He's also played every minute of the game so far alongside with Nick Riewoldt, so you'd have to suggest they're going to tire as the game goes on.
Heard you talking at half-time about Brendan Goddard, 19 possessions, possibly the best man on the ground from both teams. And I tell you what, there's a story brewing as well with Luke Ball, 14 possessions to half-time. What about a Norm Smith for Luke Ball? Wouldn't that be strange? Not strange, he's played terrifically well, but the irony would not be lost around this ground.
No, it would not. No, I think he probably has to find a little bit more, but certainly side bottom is interesting. A player that is not regarded necessarily as one of the top levels, but he's been terrific.
Yep, again this week after fine performance last week. Started the second half of the MCG. Bounce favours Jolly. Not a lot of the ball, but he's been good. Slaps it down. Kazitsky emerges with it, hooks it to half forward. Revolt takes the mark, lays it off. Schneider lines up. Hit the post again. That is about their third or fourth poster. Make it 3. Schneider was through. That would have been the start. Shaw comes away. Couple of bounces. Short of the wing. Del Santo works in front. Knocked across the boundary line by Schneider. Deliberate. Oh, that's a tough call. That was a contest. Don't know what you're supposed to do. Not go for the ball.
So here's your man, Den. Ball in the back half. So Schneider's kicked a couple of points. One at half-time and one just after. Goddard. Looks like Swan might be running with Goddard, which is interesting. Swan only 7 disposals in the opening half. Goddard 19. Jones had to wait. Swan brings him down. Certainly he went to Goddard, didn't he, in the centre square?
We'll watch that one unfold. He did track him pretty aggressively.
Thanks,
you see the deliberate out of here.
It's a bounce.
Not sure you'd punch it deliberately out of bounds in your front half, but anyway.
So it's a free against Kazitsky to Jolly, and now to Didak, and Didak gets some space and kicks to Dawes. Big strong man Goddard got back. Gwilt terrific. Brown was lumbering in, still lumbering Brown, and gets a little kick away. Goldsack back. Pendlebury, ball, left foot, won't be a score obviously. 30 metres outdoors at the back. Brown again, and then toe pokes it forward. Thomas running onto it and running it over Del Santo.
He's been tackled. Throw it in.
And that says it all.
Well, how many match minutes can they get out of Kazitsky in the ruck? Because he has to be the player, I think, that provides the impetus for St Kilda.
Cloak tries to hook it down behind. Milne's got the football. Brown's got him. Finished high.
2 steps. One more step and it would have been prior. One more step.
Wow.
You reckon that's why it's called the anvil? That was a bone-crunching hit from Lee Brown.
Jolly looking for Thomas. He's been workmanlike again today. Jolly out of the congestion. Wanders down towards the pocket. Back goes Goddard. Well, now that is an interesting call.
He's allowed to go and pick it up.
He's allowed to pick it up.
Good call.
Oh, yeah, good enough.
I reckon these umpires have made good commentators, don't you? Tap from Jolly, Montagna and Jolly. Jolly trying to wrest it away. And then Kazitsky. Stevie Milner was tackled him under. Still without a kick in the match.
Thank you.
He'll thank you, Bruce.
Well, he's had to play too deep, unfortunately.
Well, he's up and round this stoppage, actually. Sometimes they just won. They're 1 or 2 forward shorts in Kilda, I think, in the game itself.
Jolly had a second crack, and then Johnson, Jones. Goddard's hands were good. Kazitsky getting involved. Schneider on hands and knees. Ball started really well here to Thomas, and then Daisy goes and kicks it just across the face for a behind. You do feel we are 1 goal away from something, don't we?
Gee, they wouldn't let it out, would they? They were fanatical, Collingwood. There's Fisher just taking the sting out of things in the back pocket to Gwilt.
Yes, they've always said forward line is your first line of defence. Collingwood take that to a new degree.
That was wonderful pressure. Here's Dempster, opposite back pocket. Cacophony of sound out of the back pocket. Kicks outside the defensive 50. Shaw will fly, get a fist on it. He had to do that. All Collingwood in front. Pendlebury, Dawes from behind, hit the pack hard. Hayes looking to find a way through, went to Dawson, hacked out of midair. Dawes! Oh, that is Dawson!
A number of Collingwood jumpers, it was just a hat kick out of the air, as we know, but there's so many Collingwood jumpers. Every time a St Kilda defender gets the ball in his back 50, there was a Collingwood player laying a tackle.
Well, the chant and the roar has started.
It will be now.
5.5 goals.
No, not 15.
Willingham forward.
No, not 15. He's just straight away.
There's the St Kilda bubble about to be burst. They need a big third quarter from this point on. Collingwood doing the attacking, doing the scoring. Didak's little kick forward to Goldsack. Wanted to load it up, then did the team thing. Side bottom off one step. At the back, Cloak. Nearly Cloak. Goddard, wonderful from the front.
Goddard's kicking it in, that's good, but he needs to be kicking it to himself, doesn't he? I mean, he needs a target to bring it out of here. St Kilda are struggling with him. It's going to be a long one.
Decision making. So Goddard goes long. O'Brien and Kazitsky. O'Brien front spot.
Hand pass came from Schneider. Now Fisher runs it up. Revolt is dropping back. Brown peeled off him. Wins the battle again.
Won the battle early there, made contact with Nick Revolt early just to get him off guard, and then as a result could dictate the play.
And Fisher couldn't carry it any further. He had to kick it off a few steps. Johnson,
Too nimble. Runs away. Jolly is on in the middle. Well, falls short of that. Coming up is Blair. Delusions of adequacy from the little man. Taken by Graham, only as far as Johnson. Now it opens up. He kicks it down towards half forward. Here comes Swan. Needs a deflection. Still going, Swan. Laid it down into the path of Dawes. Tries to slap it on. Gathered by Goddard. Playing his heart out. Taken is Jones. Beams. High ball. In front, McCaffrey. Surely. No free kick. Wilt. Tackled by Swan. Scramble. Brown applies a strong tackle. Down goes Ray. He's pumping away in there is Lee Brown.
It's actually almost been a blessing in disguise. Ben Reid is off because they're able to play Lee Brown and Darren Jolly on at the same time, and both can have real impact on the game.
Hayes, third man up. Willingham roves it and kicks the goal.
You just watch here, Jared Wellingham just able to stand off the contest, then hit it at speed. The St Kilda players look like they want to be stagnant around the stoppage. Collingwood allowed to run through with leg speed and break it open, and that's the key to the game for the second half. It looks all Collingwood.
Back in the middle. Kazetsky up very high, hooks it down, but once again Collingwood on the burst. Swan gives it to side bottom, was looking for Blair, gets his own ball, slips it away, head down Baker, taken by Blair, opportunity for Ray. Goddard strongly tackled, put to the ground by Dawes. Over the top the hand pass came from Del Santo. In the road there was Jolly. To the ground goes Pendlebury and a ball up. Collingwood now are surging, and it's starting to look as if a 44-year-old Hunger is about to be put on the waiting list. Coming away, Ray goes towards the outer side. Race into O'Brien and Peake. O'Brien tackled, hasn't got the footy, will get the free. Let's go down to Tim.
So O'Brien gallops away from Peake and then delivers to full forward. Swan waiting, Wellingham from the side. Swan's going to kick a goal. They're home, you would think. I know it's a long way to go, but they're killing them now.
It's been a fantastic move to get Swan towards Goddard. I mean, Goddard's still been good, but all of a sudden Swan's now starting to find his way into the game after a slow first half.
Well, it is like a tsunami now. Saints footy is being unravelled in front of our very eyes. No trick to be pulled out the hat, you would think, at this point. Just got to get their hands on the ball and get it forward. They do it this time. Montagna two half forward. Kazitsky and Maxwell, and Shaw belts it away. Every little thing a Collingwood player does from this moment on will be cheered just like that.
Moments ago, as Bruce called it, wonderful by Shaw. Up against the big body of Kazetsky. Took him on. Boundary throw in. Clears the pack. Jones at the back. Slips a hand pass away. Fisher drives it long down towards full forward. Collingwood lead in the race from all directions. Maxwell commits. Left the ball behind. Well done, O'Brien, taken high. Harry O'Brien to get the free kick. And Harry O'Brien determined today to emulate his footy hero, Michael Long, to win a premiership. I doubt he'll win a Norm Smith, but he's been very good. Comes away, what a telling kick that is, onto the chest of Thomas.
What we'll see now, Lee, is your term, I guess, the hope and energy sort of thing, because the hope's probably really dwindling for St Kilda. They just need to maintain the energy.
Thomas down the line. Nearly Brown. McAvoy did well. And then Gilbert. Well played, Brown. Wellingham, clever. Boundary throwing.
Yes, you find it's the fighting spirit of St Kilda. That's all they've got. The mind might still be willing, but the body will be struggling. But the Collingwood energy levels now that they've got a 46-point lead is going to be hard to overcome, sure.
McAvoy tries to lay it down. Eddie gets hold of Swan. Hayes, well done, Johnson. Ricochets off, though. Hayes and Eddie down low. And I think we'll have it again.
Dane Swan.
Okay,
free kick off the ball against Hayes. Playing off the ball.
So, like Collingwood, Swan surging in the third quarter, isn't he?
Yep. Lenny Hayes just 11 possessions. There's Maxwell. Goes down towards half forward. It's almost been a free to cloak. Didak. He's feeling it, Didak. Still is going, Didak. Pushed across the line by Quilt. There's something special about Alan Didak.
Just see Nick Riewoldt on screen at the moment. He's got to provide that hope. He's got to just generate some real enthusiasm for his charge. If he's not feeling it himself, he has to really have some really strong self-talk to project a positive self-image.
Brown knocked it down. Thomas. Oh, Swanee.
Getting a lot of the ball in the second half, Swan. So Reid back onto his old foe and Kazicki.
Just no movement from St Kilda at the moment.
Gwilt. McAvoy and Riewoldt the target. Belted forward. Brown involved. Didak again. And then Jones forces him over.
It's interesting in terms of perseverance. Jones has gone onto the Didak matchup. So Swan and Collingwood have won that battle of tactics in terms of Swan taking Goddard.
Free kick to St Kilda. It's a hold. Free kick to St Kilda up there. Free kick to St Kilda.
So as the wrestling goes on.
Stay out of it. Let him go now, Sam. Let him go.
So the Saints free kick. McAvoy's chasing. Needs to get to Graham. Now, Graham looks up. He's got Riewoldt outside. Now, Nick's got to go all the way here. Cossey's held up. Now, he's going to go to Kazicki. Does he get him? He does.
Well, that's the ultimate goal by stealth.
Here's the mark.
Get 20 players wrestling behind the footy. Opens up your forward line, doesn't it?
Hope you've got 19 against their 20.
But it's what we were talking about before. Nick Riewoldt didn't get sucked into that. He's just really got to take this team by the scruff of the neck. Probably won't get the result, but at least be seen to be doing the right thing.
Cossey's been very accurate from set shots this year, and that one, he's kicked it. Just their second goal for the afternoon.
Terrible news for the Saints. Sam Fisher has just left the ground. He was clutching his right hamstring. He's disappeared downstairs with the medicos, but it doesn't look good.
So the margin 40 points, approaching midway in this third term. Even the goals aren't convincing. It came about because of a blue. When I say the goals aren't convincing for the Saints. Kick forward towards half forward there by side bottom. Opportunity for Didak. Smothers the ball, runs onto it, hooks. It's bending back. Yes. Oh, Blake kicked it into Didak. That was wonderful by the number 4. Didak across the boot, but that wasn't enough. Whitten found his own ball and snapped with the right foot.
It's not a tackle here, it's a smother by Alan Didak, but the turning point of the game, although you'd assume Collingwood had the ascendancy at half-time, they're actually 8-0 and forward 50 tackles, which is their hallmark this year, and that's been the difference in the domination for Collingwood this quarter.
Gee, Swan was brilliant there. He pickpocketed the ball off Ray, and then Thomas with a spear inside the 50. Blake and Goldsack. Blake keeps it in, and that one out wide to Peake. Peake away. He had a moment, didn't he, Peake, in that second quarter. McWalter comes in late. It surely looked a mark, but it'll be a ball up.
Wasn't it a fantastic chase by McCaffer?
Yep.
Made Peak run and kick the ball in the air.
Almost feel like Didak's off the leash, don't you?
Celebrate with the crowd.
That's a shimmy, I think.
Revolt wins the tap. Dal Santo breaks the tackle, and then on the left foot, Collingwood with all the numbers. Milne gives a free kick away.
Advantage not paid.
Still without a kick in this grand final, Steve Milne.
Reid back and okay. Okay, a relative term. Rolled the ankle. He'll be sore tomorrow, if in fact he can feel it. Here's Pendlebury. Drifted out of the game in this term, but so important early. It's a left half back in the bright sunshine. Drives it beyond the wing. Jolly settles in front. Loose ball at the back. Stolen away by Thomas. To his own advantage. Needs a kick. Kicks it from the boundary line directly to Gilbert. He's in trouble. Dragged down. Revolt favoured by the hand pass. Opposite direction, Graham. Revolt ducked into it. Now he needs to be careful. Is that holding the ball? Play on's the call. I think that's Blair who got tossed. He's tossable and will have a bounce.
There's 3 more forward 50 inside tackles. They were 8 zip and now it's 11 zip. Just see Sam Fisher with a crook hamstring from all accounts. But this swarm mentality of the Collingwood is impressive to see.
Jolly. And then Dal Santo, good tackle. Wellingham first up.
And again, he had no chance, let him up.
Yes, different sides have different hallmarks, and this forward 50 tackling pressure of Collingwood, that really is the thing that has actually elevated them above the competition.
So Revolt doing the ruck work. Thomas winning the tap. Pendlebury, is he within range? No. Well, he was within range but didn't have the range. The radar. So Collingwood 46 points in front, deep into the premiership quarter. And Gwilt from the back pocket.
Hugs the boundary line in Collingwood fashion. Jolly tries to hook it down. Eddie did well. Revolt on the outer side. High ball. Peak is favoured by the kick. Had it slammed away though. Rove by Goddard. Required at both ends. Into the path of Montagna. Race back with Johnson. Takes a Collingwood bounce deep to the pocket. Johnson stole it away. Across to Brown. Back to Johnson. Johnson runs into a tackle from Eddie. Down he went. Crawling after it, Peak. Too slippery there for the man closest. Eddie, it came to McWalter. Into the path of Hayes. Hayes with the outside of the boot. That's a hard-working tradesman's goal.
It's one of the rare times St Kilda have got a ground-level goal, but there's going to be space in their forward line if they can get it there, because Collingwood push so many players upfield to defend from their forward 50, and Hayes who just keeps getting there, but most of the time when the ball's coming to ground there, Collingwood have got it.
So McAvoy now in the ruck. Got over the top. Back to Dal Santo. Good tackle from Wellingham. Swan, Peak. Peak did pretty well. Back to ball. Brilliant handball. Wellingham to Swan. Controlled the kick. Brilliant Swan.
Hasn't he been important this quarter? Engaged Goddard. Dane Swan we're talking about is engaged Goddard. Got the centre clear. Although he only had the 21 disposals last week, he had 9 centre clearances or 9 clearances. That's his best work, breaking away from the stoppage.
More important, he's dropped the Jones tag, and he's had the willpower to actually stay with Goddard enough to drop Jones off.
Well, Didak with a couple of goals, Swan with 1. Cloak, they're probably 3 of what you would think they're match winners. Quite his first halves, all of them, but getting on the board in the second half, Cloak just kept it to the near side. But you feel like that's one behind that's not going to feel like it'll come back to him tonight. It's 10 goals, 8 to 3 goals, 9.
Collingwood have reached their total of last week. That's St Kilda's total. Goddard straight down the middle. Desperate times. Oh, terrific mark. McAvoy, the big man, launches himself. He's got it alongside the centre circles. Del Santo goes down towards half forward. Well weighted kick. Just getting it over the head of Thomas. Taken by McWalter. Keen to go to Gilbert, at least initially. Now decides against that. And they skirt the perimeter. Getting back goal set. Took the arms. Advantages paid. Hayes across the ground to Baker. Very casual. Baker met by side bottom. Was that a push in the back on McAvoy? No. Hand pass from Shaw, deflected by Eddie. Swooping on it. Nicely worked by Hayes to Schneider. Schneider goes out wide to Goddard. What a game he's played. Goddard hooks it down towards the pocket. Milne completely outnumbered. Well, made a nuisance of himself. Peek at the back of the pack. In goes Reid. Falls on top of Montagna. And we've got a ball up.
So Goldsack a bit wounded here. Good effort. He kicked the opening goal of the match, Goldsack. So McWalter's kick just too tall for Del Santo, and then problems for the Saints. Del Santo kicks forward. Thomas just has to sit and wait. He does, and then kicks the ball towards the boundary, wants it to go out. Ray with a bit of time here. Can he deliver? Nah. Thomas brilliant, like a goalkeeper. And then McCaffer building it out of the back half. Dawson and Dawes. And the big D wins out. Back inside to Pendlebury. Side bottoms on.
What about that passage of play with Dawson? Dawson, I think it was. Dawson just looked deflated, didn't go at the ball full gust. They're actually 3-on-1 at the time. We just see the turnover here by Dale Thomas. He's playing a hell of a game again.
Talk about players elevating their reputations in the big games. Dale Thomas, last week and this week, he's been magnificent.
If you had a combined Norm Smith, the two matches, he might be in front right now, along with Goddard, I guess.
Playing a fair game too, still side bottom, no doubt about that.
Well, he's the only teenager out there. Murray Wiedemann, one of the 3 living captains, is the youngest ever premiership player at 17 in 1953, and side bottom kicks another one, and Collingwood get past 10 goals today.
What a fine young player he is. That rare blend of will and skill, and he gets the goal, the 11th for the Magpies. Hayes, that's holding the ball.
Holding the ball, no legal handball.
Swan have enjoyed that. Just looks across the ground, lobs the ball into the path of his playmaker teammate, Pendlebury. Comes back now, Reid, up towards the wing, McCaffer. When it counted, he was sensational. McCaffer, down towards half forward. Dawes has not stopped presenting, off hands. Hand pass from Tuvey, a little untidy. Schneider. Well, even then McCaffer got him, and goes again McCaffer. Pendlebury forced to kick with the right foot, a high one down towards the half-forward flank, holding on. And the advantage of presenting and getting in front, and Dawes gets a free
kick. Your arms
kick.
around his waist, he can't jump.
Seen enough.
Come back, thanks, Brendan.
The hold's there. He's just a mountain of a man, Chris Dawes, and it draws the contact from his opponents because he controls so much space and does it so well for a young player.
Doubt he can get the distance from here. Kazitsky is back in the goal square. You can see him on the kickoff line. Cloak is there. Dawson is there. Just centres the ball for Cloak. Over the top, Kazitsky, though. Long time to wait and think about it. He did well to come up and take the mark.
He realised Dawes, if he tried to kick it, it would have landed on the goal line and an easy rush behind.
Which he did a bit last week, didn't he? He took those long shots. Eddie runs into the back of Maxwell. McCaffer. Terrific match again today in a big contest. Milne tried a little toe poke. Peak goes back. And then Del Santo with that control foot to Eddie. Eddie gets on his bike and then kicks to half forward. This is the sun problem that Brad Johnson talked about at the start of the match. Revolt, Montagna. O'Brien brings him down. And then Brown's little kick, clever, to Shaw. And then Shaw looks up and controls the leg to side bottom.
Just been able to get the ball out in space so well, Collingwood. Even when there's a contest, someone will punch it out to get it out into space. So they're younger, fresher legs, which have been really pivotal in the second half for Collingwood.
Well, Dane Swan, as we said, quite his first half, having a terrific third quarter. Back to Shaw. It's not a bad thing having an Uncle Tony in big-time sport. Rafa Nadal's got an Uncle Tony. It's worked well for him. Shaw out wide.
That's your mark.
Just speaking about Dane Swan, hasn't had the huge possession tally, but importantly he had 10 tackles, second most for the Collingwood players.
He's worked hard inside. He just hasn't had the high disposal count we get used to during the year.
And Shaw got it from Beams, drives it around the outer side. Brown launches himself, crumbs his own ball. Swan just relishing the freedom now, gives it across to Johnson. Johnson hugs the boundary line on the outer side. Ball goes after it, lost it, knocked away, out of bounds.
And there is Uncle Tony Lee. You did a lap of honour with him today.
He did. Collingwood's premiership captain. Looks like the title might be about to... last premiership captain. Title about to be passed on.
Remarkable dynasty, aren't they? Close to the boundary line, it goes out. Heath's dad played in 4 losing grand finals and a draw. I think from memory captain in a couple of them. And he's played a heck of a game last week and again today, Heath Shaw.
Been wonderful, hasn't he? Collingwood pushing forward. Cloak brought down by Dawson. Pendlebury wants something of Jolly. Gwilt with him. And a boundary throw in. So Jolly, who went to the Swans in 05 from Melbourne, first season at the Swans, a premiership, comes to Collingwood in 10, along with Ball. And seemingly, history's going to repeat itself for the big guy.
You reckon he might be hot property on the trade table this week, Bruce?
Untouchable, I think. I've got to say, the Jolly Ball pickup was a good one.
Oh.
Gave them by particularly Jolly. They didn't have the big ruckman, Collingwood. Jolly is a good quality big man.
So Gwilt bangs it as far as he can. Blake, good mark. Back inside to Ray, looked up, had nothing really. He's got Revolt, but he's in an awkward position. Brown at the back, did well, doing the roving though, was Kazitsky. Milne goes forward, that's his first kick. Shaw getting back, McWalter behind him, and Heath Shaw happily sees it go over. Well, there's always a hard luck story, and that guy who they love at Collingwood, don't they? Presti, he's the oldest player that was selected last week, and he decided that he wasn't fit enough, and today he's sitting it out.
And a boundary throw in his neck of the woods. No pun intended. Hurriedly off the boot by Revolt. Jolly, towering kick. They all settle underneath it. Some misjudgment there from Goldsack, and Gilbert just drifted in, took it.
Yeah, Swan tried to hold him out of the marking contest, but Gilbert shrugged the block off.
Right where the emblem is.
Well, his kicking has been wayward today. Had some golden opportunities when he went forward, just 3 behinds. And I think all of those eminently kickable in the second term. Here he is, looking to make amends. Guides it and guides it well. It's through for a goal.
Just see Scott Pendlebury on screen. He only had the 5 kicks last week. He's up to 16, 22 disposals, 11 tackles. He's been absolutely instrumental for Collingwood in the midfield.
Could one quick goal here make a difference? Pendlebury cut off, not 15, back to Hayes. Hayes belts it forward. Revolt trying to get off the leash. It's been a hard leash to get off. Gee, Brown's stature's growing by the minute, isn't it? Back to Maxwell, the captain. And then Maxwell delivers down the line. And Jolly comes in and takes a mark. And he'll savour the moment. Biggest margin ever overcome to win at three-quarter time is 23 points. Essendon in 1984. Sorry, Lee.
Thanks, Bruce.
And then Maxwell, Tim likes that one. But Collingwood led by 27 in 1977 in the drawn game.
7 goals is should win territory. 10 goals is will win.
Yeah.
So at 7, you know who I like to be on, that's for sure.
Maxwell, you're a careful punter, Lee.
No, I used to think that.
Well, they went on with it, didn't they, Collingwood? They increased the lead. They've put themselves so close to touching the Holy Grail. At three-quarter time in the grand final replay, it's Collingwood 11-8-74, St Kilda 4-9-33.
time in the grand final replay, the margin is 41 points. What about that succession plan? I think Eddie perhaps pulled the wool over our eyes. He was talking a success plan, and one of those members of the succession plan is Nathan Buckley. He's with Matthew Richardson.
Well, Bucks, you're 41 points up. Last quarter of the year, you look to have it won. What was the message from Mick?
Look, it's just more of the same. We've been very good. Our structures have been good for 3 quarters. That's why we're in this position, so we need to do it for another quarter.
It's going to mean to you to be a part of a Collingwood premiership.
That'd be fantastic, and all credit to the 22 blokes who are there at the moment for doing 3 quarters of the job, so let's finish it off.
And the fans, mate, they're going to go berserk. It's going to lift the roof off this place.
Yeah, mate, we'll worry about that in 30 minutes. Good on you.
Good luck.
Brendan Goddard's got 24 possessions. Scott Pendlebury up to 23 now. And Luke Ball has got 20. And Tim Watson, that's a heck of a story.
It is indeed, Dennis. And both he and Jolly have been magnificent. But this time last year, Luke was, in fact, a saint. He agonised over that move, believing in the end that it was about opportunity and having a coach who really believed in him. And we know that in last year's grand final, he was used sparingly against Geelong. I mean, to Luke right now, I've known him since he was a kid, it must look like a mighty great decision that he's made.
So 11-8 plays 4-9. Bucks working 1 quarter time there with Richo, wasn't he?
Well, everyone else in the ground probably thinks Collingwood's home, but not the Collingwood coaching box. I guarantee you they won't think they're home. You can't think that way until very late in the game.
When will they do the walk, Lee? Your walk was very famous in 1990.
More goals in front than minutes to go, Tom.
Righto.
That's the one.
Well, they're already... Well, no, they're not there. They're more points in front with minutes to go. But, well, it would take a miracle.
Yeah.
It's been a good year for Saints in Australia, but they need something, don't they? Mary McKillop and all that, but I'm not sure if they can produce something that she had to reach the exalted heights that she's about to.
We spoke last week, they pinched a draw, didn't they, St Kilda, with only 35 inside 50 entries, which is incredibly low. Well, today they've only had 28, so they just can't get the ball forward enough against the Collingwood defence.
30 minutes away from a 15th premiership, you would think. Collingwood playing its 500th match at the MCG. The first back in 1897. Tuvey out of the centre. Kicks the ball inside, not quite inside that forward 50. Gilbert deep for a moment. Had it stripped and robbed. Side bottom's been good. Back to Jolly. And then Jolly uses Johnson. And Johnson's long kick, not great, but gets over Kazitsky. Hands were okay from Dawson to Jones. Jones probing and fishing a bit. Peak, Jones. They're going backwards. And the kick picked off by Tuvey against Schneider. Back in board to Johnson.
Classic Collingwood, though. St Kilda just got boxed in that forward pocket and forced the turnover. Tuvey back.
O'Brien was running outside. He goes to the pocket and Dawes has got it. It's a good kick.
And to follow on, just the pinpoint pass along the boundary to Dawes.
Yeah. I mean, they've had that when you've got to try and run the ball out of defence. No other team in the competition really has been able to do it against Geelong. Again today, St Kilda, as soon as they've got into handball in their back 50, it's probably going to get turned over soon.
Well, he's one of the success stories. He's one of the reasons they've improved, haven't they? The structure's better with him forward. Reid at the other end's been very good. We know that Wellingham and McCaffer and side bottom and Beams have continued to emerge. Tuvey's a better player, but this guy's been a very important part of all of it. Oh, how sweet it is.
Oh, it's a sweet moment, isn't it? When you kick a goal, 8.8 goals clear now early in the last quarter of the grand final. It's a great moment.
Back in the middle. The ruckman touched the ball. Swan slaps it forward. Graham gets back. Some indecision. Jones sold into trouble, did well. Kicks it towards the outer side. Jolly tracks it back. Awkward bouncing footy. Smothered off the boot there. McWalter's kick went straight into O'Brien, and O'Brien finds a way through. Well, almost dragged down. Kicks it out wide. Del Santo goes back and takes the mark. Del Santo at left half forward. Says something about the respect we have for the Saints. You keep thinking, well, they're not quite dead yet, but gee, you'd think so. 60 metres out, long down towards full forward, big pack at the drop. Brown just slaps it away defiantly. Jolly onto the loose ball. Pendlebury feeds it back. Swan, Pendlebury draws a man, goes to side bottom along the boundary. Dawes wants it, gets it.
Some real winners in that passage of play. Darren Jolly's ability to work back and help out his defenders, not the conventional way for Collingwood, has been instrumental since half-time.
When Pendlebury won the Anzac medal, he must be a chance for the Norm Smith today. Swan gets it short from Johnson.
Pendlebury's response from last week, only having the 5 kicks, and he looked hurt, he looked lame, so you'd assume he's probably still a little bit under the weather, but his game today has been outstanding.
So Reed short to Swan. Schneider gets a little bit of it. Swan back though. Uses Johnson, a natural left footer, so it's on the right side for him. That floating kick of his to Shaw. Shaw quickly on. Didak in a dangerous spot. 1-on-1. Well done at the back, Dempster. Wellingham. Little give. Didak still. Weaving a bit. Out wide. Not good, Dawson. Montagna quiet today. And Collingwood with all the numbers. And he is very much like his surname, isn't he, Heath? He's...
Oh, look at the Collingwood proof.
So ball forward.
Towards the pocket. Interesting. Two Saints fell over. Dawes hand passes to the goal square. Thomas turns around and pops it through on the bounce. Was flattened anyway. Doesn't matter. Goal to stand. They won't get two. That'll be greedy. Oh, look at that. Joyous scenes. Come on, Pies. Oh, almost in tears already.
I think he is in tears.
What a remarkable scene.
I'll tell you what, premierships are great. They're great for the players, no doubt about that, but they're absolutely outstanding for supporters. I know with an army like Collingwood, they're just going to be absolutely over the moon. These players will be thanked for the rest of their lives, I reckon, Luke.
Eddie's trying to think, how the hell can we lose from here? But we might, so I can't let myself go yet. You always think grand finals are about tears of joy or tears of despair. At the moment, the Collingwood people are a bit of tears of joy, I think.
But he grew up watching it too, Lee.
Yeah, he did.
So when Eddie starts to cry, it's official, isn't it?
I think it's official.
You've either won or you're lost. And today they are tears of joy. They've been magnificent, Collingwood. Brown fending off, another great success story. Schneider had a couple of moments, one on half-time, one early in the third. Back to Hayes. And then Hayes to Goddard. It was brilliant early. Del Santo could kick this. He's 55 metres out. It's a vacant goal square. Does he get the bounce? He does. It's a goal.
I'm clear to say Ross Lyon went to the rabbit pretty early today, plucked him out of the hat. Gilbert went forward. Had he kicked those goals?
Not sure whether he should have started him there, Dennis.
Yeah, good
Game
point.
was already slipping away by that point.
Kozetsky just went straight at Brown, over the top Goddard. Terrific hand pass. Del Santo goes with the outside of the boot. O'Brien being held by one arm, takes the mark. Chips it to Thomas.
Hasn't Thomas elevated his name?
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks.
Yeah. O'Brien's had a very good final series as well. Thomas just outstanding. Pendlebury along the line, and Didak is starting to strut. And when Didak struts, that is bad news for everybody except Collingwood. Swan.
Isn't that everybody?
So Swan on the outer side, a long way to go, just under 15 minutes. But it seems this one is in the book. Didak again. Didak along the line. Only one thing can happen. Out of bounds and, well, that's two. I was going to say, or a mark for Collingwood. It's
the yellow jacket's on. It is official.
Yeah.
Tears for Eddie, the gold jacket for Joffy. Put down the glasses, I reckon.
But you notice Eddie pulled rank, he went first. Goddard searches. Collingwood's last premiership lead, of course you remember it well, the score was 13-11 to 5-11. At the moment it's 13-8 to 5-9. And that was Collingwood's greatest winning margin in any grand final, so they might be able to upstage that today.
I'll tell you what is interesting, I think whenever there's a premiership team, they always talk about dynasties and era, basically when they win their first one. You look at this Collingwood side, so many young players. They look like the future's pretty bright for them.
A lot of people are leaving Melbourne if you say that. Thomas kicks out wide and a boundary throw in. So Ray Shaw, the Shaw family.
Bruce Shaw alongside.
Yeah. And Ray in all those grand finals, the drawn one. Reece, who played in a losing grand final against the Lions. The Heath going to join Uncle Tony as a winner in the black and white in a grand final. Swan forward, Blake building it towards the line and over the line. Just got nothing out of the, well, let me say the bottom six for the Saints today. Nothing, have they?
Yeah, it's looked pretty sparse there. If we just even go from a statistical point of view, Dempster 7 touches, McQualter 7, Baker 4. Looked a bit shaky after a week. Eddie and Milne. Yep, doesn't read well.
Wellingham liked his game too. Oh, gee. Not a bad effort. Right against the boundary line. Got some deft touches today. Just gone in there and worked the ball clear of the packs. No possessions really on occasions, but able to do that to good effect. That's where Collingwood wanted the game played. In the open. O'Brien flies from behind. Here's danger. Side bottom. They stay off him. Comes back to Maxwell. Maxwell will go back again to Brown. Now there's a man on to the far side. Swan hasn't spotted him yet. Still there. Wow. He's just he's ignored Swan.
He'll get it eventually.
Eventually. Wow. Made him wait. And then the kick wasn't too flash. Swan against the boundary line. That's better. Thomas coming up for his 23rd possession. Don't be surprised if he wins a medal this afternoon. Not just one, maybe two.
Gee, sprinted for 50 metres there, Thomas.
His work rate, said it earlier in the call, he has almost typified Collingwood's year. He's taken his game to another level, just as Collingwood have done.
He was 2 in the same draft that Pendlebury was 5.
Oh, good draft. Not a good kick.
The Collingwood crowd's now cheering, and it's a 50-metre penalty. It'll take it to within Harry O'Brien's range as well, but the Collingwood crowd's just cheering every mark now.
He has had a good final series, Harry. All Australian this year, but he had a modest grand final last week, but he's rectified that today.
Neil did a good job on him last week, but yes, he's reversed that particular duel today. He's kept Milne completely out of it.
Started today really well and had that real energy, went for a run, took an intercept ball across half forward for the Pies. He's had a great day.
He can kick a long running goal, we know that. He's 50 out. It's a beautiful kick. He's jumped out of the thinking chair right now. He feels like Einstein.
Great picture.
Wonderful kick. 14th goal of his career, first of the afternoon. Equaling his career high. He's got there in ones. He kicked one last week as well. Here he is again at the back end now, Harry O'Brien. Crumbs the football, goes to Ball. Everyone just getting a roar. Ball around the outer side. High one. In front, Gilbert. Good mark. Under pressure. Short to Del Santo. Has seen a lot of the football, but hasn't done much with it. Goddard went to ground. Jones kicks inside the forward 50 and Milne bobs up. Milne likes this situation to run around and pull it back across his body, and invariably it ends like that. Well done.
Well, we know who's going to get their hands all around that in the next 15 minutes. St Kilda without consecutive goals all day. They haven't been able to get any flow on. They crawl their way up to 6. Milne a goal with just his second kick for the afternoon. Didak running hard and then delivering. Brown got down low, stays down, little give. Back to Blair, Cloak, back to Didak. And then Didak hugging the line. They do it so well. Jolly, a rare fumble. Back to Didak. Didak just thinking about it. And then hooking back to a one-on-one where the odds were against the little guy. And Blake pulls rank on Blair.
Tough for both teams about now.
Nothing tough about it for Collingwood, Dennis.
Well, they want the siren. They want to celebrate. Taken on the outer side, Shaw. Who am I to tell you, Tom? Here's Shaw, 55 metres out short, one Wellingham. Wellingham is through, runs into an open goal and kicks it.
Nothing tough about that.
Well, what we're seeing now is the best of the best team this season.
Yeah. Actually, we spoke about Collingwood's inaccuracy. There's been 4 rushed behind for Collingwood, so they've kicked 15 goals, 5 from off the boot. So their accuracy today has been exceptionally good.
If you're really awful and cynical, you say it's because Travis hasn't had many shots. That's terrible. Here's Shaw kicking the ball in high and hard to full forward. Blake probably should have got a free. Gilbert in that back half. Kosicki's little give awful. Bull tried to rob it of him.
You mentioned this is the best of Collingwood. Also, Bruce, I think it's fair to say they've built their game on just respecting the situation. 10 minutes to go, 10 and a half minutes to go. They'll play it out. They'll play the whole game out. They'll be laying those 50 tackles, those spoils, shepherds, all the hard stuff they're renowned for. They'll play this game right out to the last minute.
Gilbert back to Dempster, under pressure. Quick kick from Baker. All the numbers, Collingwood and Maxwell. Well, that's not the most famous last quarter mark he's taken, but it was a good one.
Started the game exceptionally well again, had those structures. St Kilda put some time into him. I think it was Eddie to start with, then Mick Walter. Gilbert played on him.
There's equal parts fatigue and adrenaline, but with the adrenaline,
well, he hasn't kicked
and the excitement, not out of the question he can lob a 55-metre shot.
Well, he hasn't kicked a goal this year, Lee. He's kicked 2 behinds for the season.
He's limbering up.
He's having a crack at it.
Well, this is for bragging rights at about midnight tonight, isn't it?
On the Collingwood logo.
Well, he's got the distance, but neither Nick has kicked a goal. And we talked about Carey and Brown, Jonathan Brown last week. It's very hard, I'm thinking about Revolt today, for a big forward to actually really kick a bag, isn't it?
Nathan Brown's done a magnificent job. He's always been there and done really well in the contest.
Reid
Goddard, push out.
got hands to it, but Goddard was pushed under the ball by Brown.
Has he won the contest, Lee, Nathan Brown?
I think he has, because he's won the contest in the 50-metre arc, and they're the critical ones against Rewold.
Yep. Atlanta got the opening goal. The only change to their side, goal sack, and what a good change it was. Back in for Leon Davis, who still gets a medal, beams around the outer side, goes down towards the attacking 50 side bottom, stolen out of his hands by Blair, the little fellow, just misses. Must be sick of the little fella. I'll stop.
I dare say he's had it all his life, Dennis.
Kick to behind. The big fella just missed to the right.
I know all about that one. Here's Hayes. Gwilt. I think his reputation's been enhanced, Gwilt.
Yep.
Baker. Well, it worked last week with Baker, but he struggled today. Oh, good mark, Beams.
Yes, that talk of the second up game where you're actually still recovering from the first week. That's the look today, hasn't it, with Baker?
So Didat back to Shaw, and then back to Maxwell. You talked about a dynasty for maybe Collingwood, and you think of the Saints, this will be their 3rd grand final in 2 seasons without a win. And the official attendance today, 93,853. Now, in 1977, they got 108 and 98. 100 today and 93, so something similar. So O'Brien.
Johnson, Heath Shaw goes for a gallop. Turvey, Revolt comes at him. Turvey kicks down towards half forward. Baker judged it best. Dawson. Now Peake. He's at right half back. The former Docker kicks beyond the wing, and the mark is taken by Eddie. 4 players involved there. We haven't seen a lot of this afternoon. Down towards the pocket, coming up the ground. Schneider takes a tumble, and the ball ricochets out of bounds. So boundary throw in right on the 50. Lee Brown comes across and will do the rucking. He's been the perfect foil after a sluggish start. Gave away some early free kicks, but gee, he's worked his way into the contest. Shaw, kick from Swan to the wing. Oh, terrific by Cloak.
He's a wonderful contested mark. He's taken the most in terms of average throughout the year. He kicks the ball inside 50. Side bottom held on to. Johnny got up high. Back to Dempster. So Dempster and Schneider, 5 grand finals each. Just that one win. Their first. Goddard, Del Santo, Milne, Montagna. Big names. Back to Peake. And then Peake decides to go with a long ball, and Reid gets back.
That was re-rolled versus 3 Collingwood opponents. That was why St Kilda just had nowhere to go deep forward.
Well, Reid can hardly walk, but I don't reckon he wants to come off, that's for sure. Johnson wide to Beams. To Maxwell running on.
Thomas.
You called it, Tom.
His work rate, Bruce, is unbelievable. He started on the opposite forward flank and just ran past. I think it might be Dempster is on the mark. Just a huge Herculean effort.
Yep. He's gone to the next level, hasn't he?
No doubt.
Well, nothing's beyond them today. Hits the post.
Just spent a bit of time to talk about St Kilda. They've been up for a long time now. Played in the last 2 grand finals. It's going to be really interesting and challenging to bounce back from this one, Lee.
Built to the outer side. Lee's thinking about that. It's out of bounds, so we'll have a throw in.
Yeah, no, they do need to actually find a little bit more of their bottom few, don't they? I mean, they've got probably 6 of the best 12 players, when even 10 players before the game started today. Not necessarily on today's performance, but they've had a few, half a dozen that don't give them a lot quite often.
Thomas to Swan. Settles, goes to Jolly. Jolly down towards right half forward. Clock continues to run. Inside 6 minutes now. Jolly goes for distance. Try and mark that. Well, he does. Well played there by Dempster. Ghosting across in front of the pack. Hand passes into the path of Blake. Graham. Little chip to Revolt. Thought that might happen. Revolt's on the wing. Looks back towards the corridor. Ray. Gilbert. Well, that's a beautiful pass. Just got it there in time. Tuvey was coming across. McWalter will take this kick directly in front.
I think they've made the most of that opportunity, St Kilda, but Rewold marking the ball up on the wing, that's great. Rewold works so hard, but they've just, if he's a transition play, they've got no one to go to when they get within scoring distance.
Good look at it. Kick has got the carry, not quite. Taken by Maxwell. Chickley runs away. Well, when you're the captain of the premiership team, you can do that. He kicks it up towards the wing. Gilbert came at the football. So too Dempster, his teammate, feeds it forward. Del Santo inside the 50. And there he is again, the skipper. How sweet this is. They gave him the number 5. And my word, he's never let it down. Not for one game.
If it wasn't a famous number going into the season, it will be now. No doubt about that.
So the Premier and the President, eh? Who pulls rank on who? A President or a Premier?
Today it's the President.
Well, Eddie probably holds the most influential position in Victoria, doesn't he? The kick out wide taken by Brown. Yeah, we've seen the best of Maxwell in the last 5 minutes, haven't we? All the good things that he does.
His leadership and his ability to just say the right thing, have the right attitude. I've always been so impressed, Tom, with the way you led Geelong in their premiership era, but the way Nick does, it's a very similar role he seems to play.
It's actually a really good position on the ground to lead from. You've got the game behind, in front of you, particularly if you can orchestrate where you can free yourself up as well, can really drive the team message. And Nick Maxwell, hats off to him, he's done a fantastic job with this footy club.
And for Nick Revolt, well, there were tears maybe last year, but he's going to feel gutted today. He'll feel like he just didn't do enough himself. It was a hard day for a big forward for the Saints. Big fly coming at the back from Goddard. St Kilda go forward. And at Milne, well, he's had so little of the ball today. Has he kicked the second goal in the last quarter? He has. But the 2 today don't measure up to the 2 last week.
Exactly double. 102 to 51. Under 3.5 minutes, Michael Malthouse comes down to the boundary. His 3rd premiership in vintage form. That in itself is an amazing story. We touched on it at three-quarter time. Ray dragged down. Thomas has got the football inside the centre square, fires a pass. Almost an involuntary mark there to Wellingham. Turns around, goes long, side bottom. Anything the Saints can muster at one end, Collingwood doing better at the other.
This is really interesting down on the Collingwood bench.
Perfect, still there.
He got the feel that Mick Malthouse wanted Scott Pendlebury out on the field. Thomas came off. He sent Thomas back out. He said, you can stay out there. He's trying to orchestrate, I guess, the younger players to be sitting on the pine.
Who's on, who's off?
Side bottom runs around, and that is the cream. They're home, well and truly, but they may not be home later tonight. I'm suggesting the early hours of tomorrow morning.
Well, he's the only teenager out there. Still side bottom. Kicks his second. Collingwood are going to win by close to 10 goals. Graham and Wellingham so slippery trying to get out of it. And Michael Malthouse in winning today, well, he joins you, Lee. It's tears of joy here. Everybody sort of, as a living Collingwood coach, but he joins you and Ron Barassi as having won a premiership as a player or coach at 3 different clubs. It's only Barassi, Matthews and Malthouse. I'd like to be in that club. How big that is. Hey, and of course he's the oldest coach ever now to win a VFL AFL Grand Final.
What Mick's doing down there, he's still...
Putting
That's David Butterfin, who's his conditioning coach. I'm not sure what that
surely he's not orchestrating a loose man in defence.
A recovery session.
Hayes going nowhere, taken front on by Jolly.
He might be planning for next year. He's still coaching, as we know, in front of with Buck sitting on his shoulder.
Well, the draw was marginally better than last week than the result today. Hayes, at least they got a chance to fight on after last week. All in vain today. Peake, Revolt, tackled by Tuvey, wrestled down. Peake feeds it forward. Schneider slips away, runs down towards half forward, comes back to Graham. Graham unloads, but drifting back. Maxwell takes the mark. Ball is on the move. That's ignored. Goes to the other side. He sure's got it.
They have played the game out to the very second. Nick Maxwell setting up the structures. Now they'll just milk the clock, get it to the crowd favourites, give them a cheer.
That's all of them.
Here we go. Yeah, this is true.
Ball to O'Brien. O'Brien still inside the defensive 50. Said earlier today that 8 of their premierships had been won after finishing on top. They finished on top this season. Strong mark is taken by McAvoy. Plays on to Gwilt. Wilt looks inside the forward 50, unloads with a long kick. Plenty of Magpies down there, off hands, taken in defence by Shaw, smothered off the boot. Revolt, hand passes to Jones. Across it comes to McWalter, hand passes to Hayes. And he misses.
Gee, he kicked a point at the same end late last week, didn't he? But slightly different repercussions. Dennis Josh Cage is telling me 8 of those premierships too coming in October for Collingwood. 8 of their 15.
It's amazing when you look around the ground. So much of the ground's thinned out. I'm guaranteeing they're all St.Kilda supporters.
No doubt about that.
And all the black and white supporters are still here.
Before the game, the atmosphere was electric. It was the People's Grand Final. The fans got into the game, and the Collingwood fans in particular have absolutely lapped this up.
So ball out wide. I said it last week, but you feel like a big club is just getting bigger by the moment, don't you? It'll be their 15th premiership, one shy of Carlton and Essendon.
They're all legends now. Have a listen to that.
What a peculiar position and a beautiful position Luke Ball has found himself in, having played for the Saints last year against Geelong. So Collingwood win by their greatest ever margin in a grand final. It doesn't get better than that.
We just kicked you around the right way here. It's a hard way to do it, 8 quarters of footy.
Oh. Well, we said it was half time. We had a good last half. All these were just terrific. Absolutely terrific. All year and years before that. So
they're a special group of young men, aren't they?
Oh, well, they win a premiership. I take it out from the Saints. You know, they're no less special, but it was our day and we won. So it's fantastic.
Nick, you haven't been in this situation since 1994. That's a long time ago. Does this one feel like it did back there in 1994?
Oh, wrong time to be answering that, really. Wrong time to be asking, wrong time to be answering it. It's just been, well, I just, you know, West Coast, but I've just done it for, I just think there's so many things here for the great Collingwood army that have put up with a hell of a lot, and I just think it's fantastic for them, fantastic for the players, everyone that worked at the football club, and, oh well, it's a great relief.
Thanks, mate.
Josh Fraser there, 200 games for the club. Down to you, Richard.
Yeah, Nick, how does this feel, mate? You are the premiership captain.
Hey, good grand final replays. You like them now? Mate, St.Kilda surrendered us last week, and there's a lot of things we did well, but a lot of things we did poorly, and it all just fit today, mate. And it's been unbelievable where these boys have come from. Guys like Jared Blair, who wasn't even in our top 40 players before that round 10 when he got his go. So there's so many individual stories, and also heartbreaking for Presty and Oves and Fraser and Madge, who have driven this club for so many years, and Tark and Lockyer. Those guys are the ones who have been an inspiration. They're the ones who taught us how to play footy, and the heart goes out to those guys, but we're still a part of it.
As you said, mate, it's a real team effort. That's what it's been all year for Collingwood. It's been total team. Everyone just played their role. You did it again today.
And our whole week, the whole theme was know your role, play your role. I think a few guys got caught up and trying to do too much last week, but this week they did it, mate.
Get over to him, mate.
Tim, I think you've got Luke Ball, Tim.
Well, Luke, congratulations. I know you agonised over the move to Collingwood last year, but it's got to be the right move, hasn't it? I mean, you must be feeling just absolutely elated now, or is there just a pang of bitterness about the fact that you're looking over there? I noticed it before, looking over there at the Saints players. You know how they feel.
I do, yeah. So, look, it's a weird feeling, Tim, to be honest. I'm just so happy for the Collingwood Footy Club and the supporters and Mick, and they gave me a chance. But yeah, on the same side, I don't know how they're feeling, and I've got some great mates over there, and I really feel for them. So I'm so happy for this group. It's such a long year, and it's been even longer this year after what happened last week. They deserve it. They work so hard, but yeah, there's part of me that does feel for them.
Mate, go and enjoy it. Well done.
What a gentleman he is, Luke Ball. He was in that same draft as Hodge and Judd, wasn't it? It was Hodge, Ball and Judd, and they've all got a premiership. They've all got a premiership. Collingwood by 56 points. It's a famous final when Collingwood win it. We'll be back with the presentation after this.
Collingwood win by 56 points. Let's go down to the hallowed turf for the presentations.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our presentation, the AFL would like to acknowledge our premier partner, Toyota. With David Butler joining us on the ground. To David and the Toyota team, thank you for the support you give the great game of Australian football. It's been a very tough day here at the office for the St Kilda Football Club. Please welcome their skipper, Nick Riewoldt, to say a few words.
Congratulations to Collingwood. Clearly the better team on the day. Well done, guys. For our boys and our supporters, St Kilda Football Club. Didn't stop fighting today, all year, and we won't stop fighting either. Keep your heads up.
Thank you, Nick. Ladies and gentlemen, please now make welcome former North Melbourne Premiership player and best of field in the 1977 Grand Final replay, Arnold Bridus, to present the Norm Smith Medal to the player adjudged best of field today in Mark II of the 2010 Grand Final.
And the winner of the Norm Smith Medal for 2010 is Scott Embry from Collingwood.
Firstly, to St Kilda, you guys are a hell of a side, so well done. Our boys, this is the best feeling I've ever had. Let's hope there's a few more to come. Thank you.
Congratulations, Scott. Arnold, thank you. That's every young footballer's dream to be on this ground on the grand final day. And it's with much pleasure that we are now going to invite 22 participants from the NAB AFL Auskick program, and they'll present the premiership medallions to the players of the Collingwood Football Club. Number 4, Alan Didak. Number 6, Tyson Goldsack. Number 8, Harry O'Brien. Number 10, Scott Pendlebury. Number 12, Luke Ball. Number 13, Dale Thomas. Number 15, Lee Brown. Number 16, Nathan Brown. Number 17, Dane Beams. Number 18, Darren Jolly. Number 20, Ben Reed. Number 21, Sharad Wellingham. Number 22, Steele Sidebottom. Number 26, Ben Johnson. Number 30, Brett McCapper. Number 31, Chris Dawes. Number 32, Travis Cloak. Number 34, Alan Tooby. Number 36, Dane Swan. Number 39, Heath Shaw. Number 47, Jared Blair. Number 5, the captain, Nick Maxwell. Would you now please join with me in welcoming Australian Football Hall of Fame member and Premiership coach David Parkin to present the Jock McHale Medal to the coach of the 2010 Toyota AFL Premiership team, the Collingwood Football Club, Mr. Mick Malthouse.
Thank you very much. It would be remiss not to, first of all, one of the things that someone said to me straight after the game, how fantastic your side has been. Well, I've always believed that you're going to be very, very humble winners and gracious in defeat. The Saints have been outstanding in the last few years, and I've got to applaud them for the way they play and the way they go about it. To the AFL, put on another magnificent opportunity for both sides to come together and play before, I don't know how many people here, but let's say 90 plus thousand. They should be commended for the way that the competition has been run, and the simple fact that we are probably one of the most watched competitions in the world per head of population is an outstanding achievement by the AFL. I'm not going to go through all the sponsors, but our sponsors or our partners have been outstanding. The board have been terrific in their backup. To the supporters, I just feel so tremendous for you blokes who have stuck with us through good times and bad. You've always supported us. The way you've come out training, as I said, from sometimes when we haven't played so well, you've been there, you've stuck with us, and it's your trophy. To the playing group, I can say this now because I've only got one more year left, Ed. They are my boys and I love them dearly. They have been outstanding. So I just thank you all so very much for your wonderful support. And once again, we've proven that this great game is truly great. Thank you very much.
Just want to reiterate what Mick said about the Saints. They've been one of the dominant teams the last few years, and I'm sure your time will come, so make sure you stick with them. They're led very well, and they're going to be up there again next year. I want to thank our major sponsors, Emirates, Adidas, Aussie and Westpac. They allow us to go to Arizona for training camp to build the Westpac Centre. Without their support, we wouldn't be able to do what we did today. To the AFL and their major sponsor, Toyota, again, thank you for all your support to allow us to do what we love doing every single week. And 22 guys ran out today, but it took everyone on our list to get to this stage, and a lot of guys didn't get to pull on the black and white, but those guys are just as important as the ones who did. Finally, it's been a long 20 years. You've stuck by us the whole way. This one's for you guys. Thanks to everyone out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now have much pleasure in inviting 1972 and 1973 Coleman medalist and Australian Football Hall of Fame member Peter McKenna to present the Premiership Cup to Nick Maxwell, Michael Malthouse and the Collingwood Football Club.
What a wonderful team. They've had a magnificent season. What's that last 15 minutes like for a club like this when you've just won a flag, do you reckon? You'd know, Tom, and so would you, Lee.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling. We were speaking just off air before. It's those 5 minutes when you're on the ground once the game's been won. The whole club comes in. We saw Tarkin Lockyer, Shane O'Brien, Prestige Coma, everyone together. Never more true here side by side, their club song being today. I think they're absolutely magnificent club, thoroughly deservedly premiers.
We often spoke about the moment where you know you've won the premiership is just the most fantastic surge of emotion. It sort of crept up on Collingwood because they had it won and they knew they had it won a long way out.
Let's go back to the ground, and Tim Watson's with our Norm Smith medalist for today, Scott Pendlebury.
Well, Scott, how did it feel to stand up there as a premiership player?
At the start of the year, Mick spoke about, Joel spoke about the feeling that you get, and you know they're not wrong. That's the best feeling ever.
You're very confident as a group coming into this final series.
Yeah, we were. We knew that what we do works, and you know, even last week, a lot of people said, you know, that we had our chance, and you know, we sort of blew our chances. We were so confident today that we'll get those chances. We'll just take full advantage, in which we did.
So many of the young players stood up again today. Side bottom was just outstanding.
Yeah, he was. He played his role really well, and that's something we emphasised before the game. We just need 22 role players to stand up, and that's what everyone did.
And the acquisitions of Joel and also Ball so important.
Yeah, they were fantastic today, and They gave the group so much experience and made everyone walk taller.
And congratulations on your Norm Smith medal too.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Well done, Tim. So much said coming into this game and throughout this season about these two teams and the way they went about their business, both seriously committed to their beliefs with their strategy. And Tom, it was a victory for Collingwood style over St Kilda. St Kilda may have to modify theirs, do you think?
Oh, look, I think whenever a premiership team salutes, everyone looks at how they do that. So I think Collingwood probably identified a part of the game where they can really excel is that forward pressure. Nick Maxwell spoke after the game. He said, know your role and play your role. And no side did that better this year than Collingwood.
It's interesting too that Michael Malthouse is conscious of how many years he's got to go.
and it was the only time he mentioned Ed in the speech. But just on Mickey, it's been 380 games since he's last coached a winning premiership. He coached back in 1994. He's been in 380 games since then today. So it's been a long stretch, hasn't it, between drinks for him, so to speak.
Well, remember, we got the Bulldogs into a preliminary final, then he got the Eagles into premierships, and Collingwood have obviously finally to their third grand final in the premiership. So to take 3 clubs to the top 4, that just underlines what a very good coach he is.
Let's go back to Tim with Harry O'Brien.
Well, Harry, is this one of the best walks you've ever had in your life?
Oh, it's certainly the best. It's unbelievable. Yeah. There's just so many people that have been along the journey and helped us out so much. We're just so grateful to all the Magpie Army that couldn't make it, and the ones that are here today. Just absolutely magnificent. I'm speechless. I just don't know what to say. I'm just thrilled.
Your journey has been an unbelievable journey. Did you think that it would ever end up here one day?
Yes, I did. I've had faith from the day I walked into the club. I knew Mick Malthouse was the best coach going around. I knew this isn't just 1 year. This has been several years in the making, and it's just unbelievable that we've just kept the faith and we've continued to improve each year and just to produce this magnificent performance.
Harry, you deserve a well done.
Right, cheers.
Such a team effort, 11 goal scorers again today, Collingwood. It's been one of their strengths, just that depth and ability for so many people to contribute.
Well, actually, remember we had 62 inside 50s last week for 9 goals. Well, they didn't get in as many today, 55, which is a good number. But 16 goals, that's a great efficiency going forward.
Let's go back down to the ground, and this time it's Matthew Richardson.
What's that?
Down to you, Richo.
Oh, mate, as you say, it's unbelievable. This is why you play footy, and mate, just soaking it all up.
There's so many of you guys the same age. You've still got a lot of years in front of you. Do you feel like this is going to be the start of a real dynasty for you guys?
Oh, let's hope so, mate. I suppose when you get the footy close, you want to be part of successful teams, and the club's done so well in getting us in a position to do that. And, we'll enjoy this, but there's still a lot of hard work ahead in the years to come.
Well, that's the important thing, mate. The night ahead and the next few days, it's going to be a bit of fun.
Next few days, I think you've let yourself down a bit there, mate. Next month, we'll enjoy it.
I reckon if you took the 2 matches, Thomas had gone out in a photo finish over the 2 matches as the best 2 players over the 4 hours.
Just really improved his game. He's had the 27th possession. He was the leading contested possession player on the field. Has elevated himself to another level.
That cup's in dangerous hands right now, Didak and Swan, isn't it?
I've actually been surprised at the speed of this lap. I thought it would have taken about an hour.
Yeah, they've walked pretty briskly.
Talk about characters in footy. Well, Collingwood have got plenty of characters in this team, haven't they?
Can I tell you one thing that happens after every grand final is won? Talk of that team creating a dynasty. And occasionally that happens. And mostly it doesn't.
I remember Brian Cook, the CEO of Geelong, saying that let's just enjoy this one. Forget about the future. Just enjoy the here and now.
Tim, back to you with Dane Swan.
Well, with Dane Swan, Dane, you had hold of the cup before. You didn't want to give it up either.
It's just an awesome feeling, mate. It probably hasn't really sunk in yet, mate, but to do it with the guys that I love so much, and they're all my best mates, mate. I'm sure we'll have a great time celebrating over the next few days, mate.
Amazing self-belief in this group, Dane.
Absolutely, mate. We knew we didn't play to our best last week, and we got away with the draw, so we knew we had to come out and do what we do, and show today.
I got a feeling you're going to enjoy this too.
Oh, mate, we're going to have a fair crack. Absolutely.
You'll be able to get that tattoo finished too, finally.
I don't think I'll be sober enough to get a tattoo for the next couple of days anyway, mate.
Well done, Dane. Cheers, mate.
It's the captain. with all due respect to Chris Judd and Gary Ablett, it's been the year of the Swan in one way, hasn't he? He's been the player of the year in so many ways. Alan Didak with Richo.
Ded's amazing, mate. You've been in the club for a while now. Is this better than you thought? There's Swanee going by there.
Yeah, been here for 10 years and played in 2 losing ones, and tell you what, this is an amazing feeling. Absolutely amazing feeling.
Is it better than what you thought? You must have dreamt of this day, like all footballers. Tell me, can you? I want to know.
Oh, you do. You dream of these days, but you know that doesn't go out with any hard work. We've been training for this, not for this year, for a long, long time, and the players are just stuck together, especially after last week. You know, we're probably even lucky to draw it in the end, but credit to the boys. We just played unbelievable today.
So many of your fans here today. Looking around now, all the Saints fans are gone. Not one Collingwood supporters left.
Well, that's why we drew last week, because we knew it was going to be more of a Collingwood atmosphere, get rid of all the corporates and bring the Collingwood army, and that's what we wanted.
Enjoy the beers tonight, mate.
Oh, can't wait.
Just saw Lee Brown now, Alan Tiffy, but Lee Brown with a couple of men. Winning a premiership makes such a difference to his legacy, doesn't it? You say Lee Brown, premiership player. Down to you, Timothy Shaw.
Well, the old man couldn't do it, but you've done it.
Yeah, it took a while, mate. It took a while. I don't know what to say, really. It's just amazing. We've got amazing fans. Everyone at the club, everyone contributes every week, and you know what? There was 22 guys out there, but it's for everyone. This premiership, mate, it's amazing.
Well, your family has been linked to the Collingwood Football Club for a long time. What will it mean to the family?
Oh, mate, I suppose it's massive. Dad always talks about don't take anything for granted. And mate, to win a premiership at my age, and Dad didn't win one at all. It's massive, and I'm pretty wrapped.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, man.
Well, it was a quick photograph to start, and it's a pretty quick lap to finish. Could be world record pace, Tom. Compare that to yours. Would you have a time?
No, we were longer than this, but I think it almost typifies this Collingwood. They want to get down into the rooms and share it amongst themselves. They are taking all before them, and Al mentioned earlier, couldn't be more worthy winners for the 2010 premiership.
Do everything at a fast tempo, the Collingwood.
They certainly do.
They played at a very fast tempo this afternoon. Too fast as far as St Kilda were concerned. And now the celebration is all theirs. And most of the crowd had stuck around. It was ironic too that Peter McKenna presented the trophy. A band called McKenna played last one standing, and Collingwood is certainly that. Just savouring the last moments on the ground, and now they're headed down to the rooms, and we're going to follow them in. Collingwood are premiers. They won by 56 points. It was, dare we say it, in a cakewalk. As it turns out, I'm sure now he doesn't think the rules are a joke. What a game Thomas played. And I suppose now he has lifted the bar on himself, Tom.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think we've spoken a couple of times. His game typified his season and that of Collingwood's. This moment here, when you go down the race, the people in the background are generally the family of the players. You come into the room, you sing the song, all the loved ones are there. It's absolutely an amazing feeling. They're going to love this.
The scary part for the rest of the competition, I know it's bad luck to talk about what's to come in future years, but so many fresh young faces as they come in to celebrate. Just get the feeling this could be just a beginning.
And they all played so well, Dennis. Yep. All the young players, you know, you're looking at the names. Sidebottom was great. Wellingham was great. Tuvey was great. McCaffrey was great. Great foundations for a great club.
A few greats in there, Tom.
Nathan Brown played a fair game too.
Didn't he? He blunted the champion.
Yeah, he did.
He did it last week too. Revolt got a couple last week. Today found it even tougher.
It was amazing. About 3/4 of the way through the season, when Collingwood was starting to get towards the top of the ladder, they had, I think, 6 or 7 players that actually came off the rookie list. I mean, they're players that weren't good enough to be drafted, supposedly, but have fought their way through off the rookie list. So they certainly haven't done this with really high draft choices. We know the penalty was high, Thomas was high, Didak was high, but a lot of players there that have just become really good players from fairly humble teenage beginnings.
Very classy too by the Magpies. You saw Eddie Maguire there. Players who didn't make the team are certainly being honoured down there as well. going to last a while. They last won a premiership back in 1990. Lee Matthews, I think, lived in the glow for a while. The last premiership coach, Michael Malthouse, joins him now. And Michael Malthouse, what an incredible record over a long period of time. This afternoon was coaching in his 47th final, his 7th grand final, and he wins his 3rd premiership. Premierships back in 92 and 94 with the West Coast Eagles, and today his name is etched alongside this wonderful Collingwood team. Premiers again in 2010. They win by 56 points, and generally they controlled the game. They led by 18 points at quarter time, by 27 at half time, by 41 at three-quarter time, and 1 running away. Scott Pendlebury wins the Norm Smith medal with 29 possessions today, and as I said before, so many young faces, and the future looks so bright for Collingwood. Collingwood have taken all before them. They win at the MCG. Stand by. We'll talk more about the game right after this.
Image, isn't it? The captain with the cup held aloft and the adoring fans behind him. A record-winning margin for Collingwood in a grand final. 108 played 52 in the end. 11 goal scorers for Collingwood. Pendlebury with the Norm Smith, the famous Shaw name right behind him, and Thomas, who is a famous name, that's for sure, over St Kilda. And with the memorabilia here with the ball signed by some of the greats at Collingwood. Go to it, that's the way you can get it. Call 1800 208 6'4". I think that'll be much sought after. I'm with Lee Matthews and Tom Harley and Brad Johnson. We've just experienced the Collingwood euphoria on our way to this position, and if I look up there, I can see black and white everywhere.
I think you forgot to introduce a few here, Bruce. We're right in amongst it, and Lee's right at home with his Collingwood faithful.
Best team normally wins the grand final. We've seen that today, haven't we? The best team all season.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we saw the best of the best team today as well. Their forward pressure in particular was absolutely outstanding, and you couldn't argue with Collingwood Premiers 2010.
They just brought that even contribution they had all year. They had plenty of goal kickers again today, and they were just outstanding.
It's kicking the footy come back into bow. There was 250 kicks to 129 handballs, and Geelong made the high handball game work. But I'm pleased to see that kicking the ball, not handbassing too much, is back in vogue, because that's why I like footy personally.
Well, Leo said earlier, once a team wins a premiership, you try and copycat, don't you? And maybe that'll be a trend for the years to come. Neil Kearney earlier today, we saw him following the cheer squad for Collingwood last weekend in the draw. Well, Neil was back amongst the action. Let's catch the atmosphere of today.
This is the best day of my life since 1990, and it's deserved. This club bloody deserves this premiership. It deserves it.
And are you going to retire that thing now?
It's retired. This is the last.
Well, you've gone early. There's 15 minutes to go in the grand final.
The game's over. We've won. We've won the premiership.
Oh.
We've won the premiership. Go to Pies. Go to Pies.
Are the streets of Melbourne safe tonight, Joffa?
I can't talk. I'd love to talk to you, but I can't. I'm spent. It's a great club. Well known to everyone at the club. It's just, this is one of the most incredible moments. Don't wake me up if I'm dreaming. Don't wake me up if I'm dreaming.
It's real.
This is 1990, Lee, by the way. We've turned the clock back 20 years. These are the fans in 1990 on the Saturday night when you coached them to the premiership.
It was just amazing. Of course, back then Victoria Park was Collingwood's home ground, and Victoria Park had about 30,000 people in it. No game. It was just like a rock concert. Amazing.
Well, Darren Jolly, a dual premiership player. I mean, what the Midas touch. He goes to Sydney and wins one. In his first year, he came to Collingwood and played such a big part. Let's go to Darren with Tim Watson.
Well, Joel, congratulations. I've got to say, your timing is impeccable.
I tell you, it was a dream come true to come to Collingwood, obviously. You know, I just wanted to get back to Melbourne, and Collingwood were fantastic to have me, and it's been a great year, and it's a bloody great ride to be something. This is awesome to be a part of this, and you know, number two, I'm going to cherish this one.
When you headed to Collingwood, did you think that a premiership was within your grasp so soon?
Oh, look, we knew we had a great list, great young group of players, and we just knew it was our time. You know, we had great belief, had a cracking pre-season, and everything just seemed to click right from round one. And you know, it's just buddy. Words can't describe it. You know, it feels.
Did you feel like you might have blown it last week?
Nah, I wouldn't say blown it. Look, to be like St.Kilda obviously had the momentum going in the last quarter there, but I suppose, you know, if we didn't take our chances in front of goal, a few things didn't go away. But to the boys' credit, we got over it quickly on Sunday and really dug deep on Monday and had great belief all week and really just come out today and left nothing in the tank.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thanks, boys. Hey.
He hasn't missed a match since round 7, 2005, Jolly. That's good for a ruckman, isn't it? That says a lot about it. What about our Norm Smith medalist? 29 disposals, 11 tackles, 6 clearances for Scott Pendlebury, just 22 years of age.
Yeah, it was the complete game, I think, when the game was in the balance. And it was there for probably those 2 middle quarters. He was the one who was driving it out of the clearance. He was winning the clearance. He had a good balance between contested possessions and uncontested possessions. The staggering thing, or not, the really impressive thing was he only had the 5 kicks last week and he looked sore and lame, and just to play the way, you assume he was probably still under the weather, but his game was outstanding.
Just dug deep today, didn't he? And more so, the way he just generalled everybody around the stoppages today, that was the biggest highlight for myself. Yeah, he used the ball well and brought his teammates into the game, but just generalled everyone and was just outstanding and deserved the medal.
He's always got a bit of time and space, hasn't he, Pendlebury? He always looks like. And there is the Norm Smith. And for Ross Lyon, here he is down in the rooms. He's an admirable man, isn't he? We love the way he goes about his business. He's so well prepared, and a bit of blow for him today.
I think it'll take him about an hour to realise we need to find another forward or two, because all of a sudden today Riewoldt was their only forward really until Gilbert went in. So that's what they need. Pretty good everywhere else, but they need another couple of forwards.
It's tough when you've been in 3 grand finals in 2 years and you don't win any of them, don't you? And the Saints still sitting on that bogey. I mean, Collingwood get a big monkey off the back today, don't they? They win another premiership for the poor old Saints. They keep saying 1966 and it's getting further away.
Well, they've got a huge self-belief. I was speaking to Lee Tudor before the game, and he just spoke so much about how much the players drive on that soul sort of thing, and that's going to be tested over the summer. It's one grand final lost is one thing, but to do it twice, and as you said, Bruce, 3 grand finals in 2 years is absolutely a very bitter pill to take. But if anyone can, good faith in Revolt and Goddard.
I think it's always good when Collingwood break the drought and win a grand final. To experience this today, can I say special? Because it is, isn't it?
I think the Collingwood Army's out in full force. I think that we can say for sure.
Jono, a great performance by what is a great club today.
Well, like we said earlier, they've just been outstanding absolutely all year, and they deserve to win the premiership today.
It's been terrific to have you part of our team on behalf of Dennis and the rest of the crew. It's been a magnificent season. It's ended in the best possible way if you barrack for the black and the white. Well done.
This afternoon, one way or another. It came up behind him like a librarian. He never heard it.
Might get a second crack. McKenna kicks the goal. They kick the first 3.
Oh, good work by Clark. Going Atkins on. Going Atkins in. There's no one for the score. He gets the goal.
Your time is not mine. I chase you down to Anthem town. We'd laugh for a while, playing games and names. The Stooges high on a bunny mask.
Smatters the ball right side of the box. It's been impacted. One kicked it into Didak. It was wonderful by the number 4. Oh, look at that. Joyous scenes.
He's jumped out of the thinking chair right now. He feels like Einstein. So Collingwood win by their greatest ever margin in a grand final. It doesn't get better than that.
It's been a long 20 years. You've stuck by us the whole way.